Summer Games Fest. Now B3, after B3 died. Well, it was a good run while it happened. Hi, DeYoung. Welcome in. Welcome in. But I was hearing a lot of, I don't think discourse is the right word, but a lot of, talk. We'll just go with talk. Over a lot of these trailers here. Good and bad, but, you know the internet. 90% of what they say is, random. How do I say this in a nice way? The worst thoughts they can think of. That have no basis on anything, so I thought I would add on to the pile. I'm doing fine, thank you. I'm doing fine. But yes, I figured I shall give a more proper analytical and logical analysis of some of these trailers. Given that I probably have like 10 times the credibility of some random internet user, so glad I can fulfill some purpose. Following on to that, let me establish a few things. Well, thanks. I know you're in full screen. So first of all, I will. We're still like fancy words. Oh no. Yes, I'll try not to use the fanciest of words, given I don't. Remembering words is hard. But yes, I will try my best to analyze and speak on what I like and do. We need a laser pointer. Give me. Thank you. What I like and don't like about each trailer. I've lined up good of them. Some my choice, others randomly selected. I've seen some of the trailers. I haven't seen all of the trailers, so I am coming in fresh for those. Given, I should also note that I am a casual gamer. I'm not a hardcore fan of every series. I don't think there's one in here that I'm like the hardcore fan of, but I think it's important to note that as a lot of this presentation is tailored toward the casual gamer, right? It was at a, big showcase, Summer Game Fest, millions of people watching it, right? If it was tailored to only the hardcore fans, then, I mean, you could literally make it in a blog post, right? Your hardcore fans will see it, they'll like it, and it'll be thousands of times cheaper than getting your trailer shown at one of these events. So, clearly, they're wanting to get in some new gamers, more of a casual audience as well. Ones who see, like, oh, hey, this thing looks pretty good, then, I'll buy it. I'll buy it, play it, So, I will try to analyze each trailer as such, because, well, that's all I can do, right? I'm not gonna know the lore that you have to play 200 hours of a game for, input the Konami code 14 times in a row or something. I don't know. I'm not gonna know that lore. If there is lore, go to like your, random videos. I'm sure they're already out that are like, here's 50 details you didn't see in this trailer. So that's for them to deal with, not me. I don't know every single detail. And I'm not expected to. Nor is any casual gamer. So with that all being said, we'll get on to our first trailer, which is Ace Combat 8. Apparently this one has some story stuff, so we'll see how this one goes here. Move my cursor off the screen. I'm not some random teacher.
The target is the front gate of the capital of our homeland, the Federation of Central Asia. We will storm from the sea and take the capital back from our enemy.
Okay, so I'm not sure how much I'm supposed to pause it for some of these, but I do like we have establishment already. In my recent Metal Gear Solid Prologue video, I had mentioned establishment of what the action or point of it is, as a key detail, and I do think that is very relevant. So just having some sort of thing established that we are going to go into in the, rest of the 2-minute trailer, 3-minute, well, rounded up to 3-minute trailer. Maybe it's 2.5. I don't know how much is at the end. That's just random. But yes, having something that we are established and looking forward to for that is fine. Especially since that also played during some of those, title card sections, like Bandai Namco. It's like
we will storm from
hear all
the
that
sea
stuff.
and take the capital back from our enemy.
So you're the next one? The one whose rear we'll have to cover?
The people left behind back on the continent need something to hold on to. Some sort of symbol that inspires hope.
Yeah, I'll bring it up even more with the volume. Already we are hearing quite a few, what's the word, grounding sentences there. It's simple character building, world building, nothing special. You know, we see the helmet there. Guy goes, "Hey, you're a newbie," right? We established we're a newbie. Apparently, he's doing a crossword. Good for him. But yeah, as we're establishing, we ourselves are a newbie because it's coming from first person, right? People back home, right? We're just doing world building. Likely it establishes this is your character's motivation for this. But we're not here for the motivation or much of anything. This can all kind of be put into those grounding shots that we see in the first. It's like, here is your mission. It's like, yeah, you're a newbie. We're here. This is the synopsis. That's a better way of putting it. This is the synopsis for this. You know, you're a newbie who is tasked to go on this mission to save your homeland. There we go. That's what we have. Right? Going into the plan.
Some sort of symbol that inspires hope.
We will be in visual range of the land battleship soon. Giant!
Hey, all right. I didn't expect a laser beam ship, but okay. Sure. We have some interesting elements. So they go into symbol of hope and then immediately get blown up. All right. There's stuff to that, but let me see how this plays out first.
Enemy artillery intensifying. Damn it. Where's Wings when you actually need him? All units return to base.
Where are you going, Doctor?
Cover Tasha, Rex!
That's where the Wings of Thief comes in. The
Okay.
legendary savior.
Okay. So yeah. That's specifically why I wanted to wait a little bit longer for this, right? Because it really is kind of doing a really quick prologue, right? We had it all set up at the beginning here. Here is your mission. You're a newbie. We need a symbol of peace and, for our homeland and whatever. And then it's like, okay, we're off on the mission. Here's the thing you're killing. Boo. Right? And so at the time, we see, you're a newbie, symbol of peace, right? That all goes together, so you think you're the symbol of peace, right? Going up against this threat, to which, kaboomy, everyone dies, right? Which then establishes, it's like a subversion of expectations, right? Which also establishes a few other things. We think we're establishing everything here, but no, it's later. It relates to something later. You think it relates to now, it relates to later, right? The savior symbol of hope is going to be those Wings of Thief, which is the title of the game, which makes sense. Those are going to be the guys who are taking this down. At least so it seems, unless I'm missing something that is shown later. But that also establishes just, how big the threat is, right? They can say, we've already gone up against this guy once, and we have failed. We need to get our better men going. We thought we would win the fight. We did not win the fight. This is a more formidable foe than we expect. And so they need to make their guys more formidable, or send out their more formidable people to take down this opponent they have underestimated. And so I assume that's where the game comes in, right?
Units, return to base.
Where are you going, Copter?
Cover Tasha, Rex.
Get back to the trailer here.
That's where the Wings of Thief comes in.
Mm-hmm.
The legendary savior. Dee wants the legendary savior to get as much publicity as possible. The more exposure, the better.
And once again, symbol of hope, savior, whatever. However they said it before. That's what that relates to. All right. Which also tells me they're trying, from the plot perspective, they are, whatever military here it is trying to create a, they're trying to use their military as the symbol of peace or hope. You know. And specifically the one guy, which is a little hard because, well, it's one guy. If anything happens to the one dude, we're in shambles. But it can also be more personable with the people. But that's what they think at this point in time. It does require a little more thought to know whether that's actually the proper way of putting it. But that is the way they are putting it, right? Why they're putting, you know, Wings of Thief, whether that's a guy or a group, right? Yes, remember, if you fail the mission, you get blown up like these people at the beginning, is lights out for you and your whole publicity, putting your whole publicity on one type of group. Hi, Leo. Welcome in. Welcome in.
Dee wants the legendary savior to get as much publicity as possible. The more exposure, the better.
The more exposure, the better.
Cannons firing.
I assume you're
Wiped out.
All
put on multiple
aircraft
missions for that.
Sorry, Rex. You stay put, Joker 1.
Above you flies the Wings of Thief. No.
Okay, we're getting a lot here all at once. It is important to note that when they have these montage trailers, no normal person is going to get all the information, right? Like, I don't know who this girl is. Will they show her later? Hopefully, because
Above you flies the Wings of Thief. No harm will come to you. Hands to the sky, everyone. Hope is within reach.
The Terminus fingers. What, the imposter?
Yeah. So when it does go fast, it is presented more as a hype trailer, right? It's like, whoa, this is cool. Does it have meaning? No. The meaning is that it's cool, right? It's all kind of different there. We jump around in context and plot, or just even story points in general. You know, we can see some stuff that appears. We can gather normal things like, oh, we go on missions. Things happen that aren't normal. And that's about all we get. That's collectible information for the general public. So I'm not too big a fan of those, but they are a montage. I'm not a big fan of the montage sections, but they are good filler. They are good filler, and they are good for those people who, you know, analyze the specific trailers because they know that series, right? You know, not me. I don't know if the Wings of Thief or an Ace Combat 7. I haven't played an Ace Combat, you know.
Hands to the sky, everyone. Hope is within reach.
The Terminus
Hopes within
fingers.
reach, they show up. So
Imposter?
Sharing
These goes.
information isn't always about telling people the truth.
Hope's all we can offer, right, Joker 1?
very hype, you know, explosions, big things, you know, and negativity. Those are really the big three things that we're seeing here. Boom, explosions. Boom, big thing. Right? You know, and they were talking about distrust right now.
It's an ambush. Shadows.
Just as planned. We dangled the bait and Wings took it.
We'll find out soon enough.
Would you please? Green light! Defensive maneuver!
We've got a leak.
Is it time to run, Ray?
Hang on.
Joker 1, down's an enemy.
You never ran away.
Mm-hmm. We started to see a few recurring things there, like this character, right? It's a little more subconscious because it happens so quickly there. But we can see that some of the stuff they're relating to here, or talking about, relates to that character, right?
Just as planned. We dangled the bait and Wings took it.
We'll find out soon enough.
Yeah. Dangle Bay Wings took it. Ambush. Same
Would you
person. Here's the same person, right? Some sort of diplomatic relationship. Likely they're part of the main antagonist there. Whether they are the main antagonists, who knows? Do we have a running main antagonist after 8 games in this series? I haven't a clue.
Is it time to run, Ray?
Hang on. Nuka 1 down.
Like, we see the hand move down, boom, explosion. You can relate those two. That's exactly what the point of it is, right? You know, hand coming down. They even add in a little shot there, if I can find it. It doesn't let me move my frame. Boom, the missile. There you go. Hand go down, missile go boomy, right?
You never ran away, did you?
Here we go, Rex.
Come on, Ray.
Let's go, Rex.
These skies belong to you, Rex.
You know, they're talking about Rex, likely the main character. They're repeating it there because we're still kind of in a bit of a montage, right? I mean, you see how
Come on, Ray.
Let's go, Rex.
all these frames change really quickly. If you repeat something in a montage, then it sticks. Otherwise, it's just hype footage, right?
These skies belong to you, Rex.
You know, we saw that girl earlier. This is the second time. Maybe there might be another time. I might have missed it some other time, but we see her again. Now we connect the dots a little more.
Skies belong to you, Rex. Go take what's yours.
And then we get the title. Go take what's yours. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, all in all, not a bad trailer. Rise above. Yep. All those sorts of things.
Did you know there are 3 kind of aces?
Okay. That's true to people who already know. I don't know. Ace Combat. Wait, Ace Combat 0? What do you mean 0? There's more than 8? I digress. Yes, it's not a bad trailer, that one. Steve Mean. I honestly have no idea. I just assume that it's the name. Right? We can tell that you, Rex, are part of the Wings of Thief here. So, I just go with the name of that. If it's something associated with Ace Combat or some other thing, I wouldn't know. I don't know Ace Combat. So, it is a little weird though. We had that whole like land tank thing that they made a big show of at the beginning. This thing. But I don't remember seeing it later. I just remember seeing explosions. Which is a little interesting there. It was a really big hype trailer. You know, obviously they don't want to give away too much story, but I like the start was strong there. It just didn't pull through too much at the end, I don't think. Because there isn't much of a conclusion besides do your best once the game comes out. And it's like, okay, well. I suppose one of the main points of trailers is to leave unanswered questions. Because you're going to have to buy the game to answer the question. Now you're like, oh, I want to figure out what happens, but then I'll have to spend money. And so they spend money. Because, you know, people are like that. And it's like, okay. And in terms of a trailer, right? I'm not sure how much it shows for later in the game. I'm a bigger fan of the trailers that finished what they're saying, I should say. To me, that tells you that I can expect something of that quality in the game, right? If I like the story that it's saying in the trailer, then I can say, oh, they're going to make a good story in the game, right? But overall, I do like this trailer. I don't have too many gripes with it. There's a good few things that I like. You know, even if it does have just a lot of random filler shots. It's like, oh my goodness, guy in plane? No way, not in my plane game. Like, am I supposed to know these people? I don't know. It made sense when I watched Top Gun.
Wings took it.
Given... This is Toys Combat 8 again, but, you know, like I said before, this is a game festival for many people, including those who don't know a single lick about Ace Combat. Otherwise, they would have made it a blog post or a newsletter. So, yes, that's that trailer. Oh no. Why did that undo my full screen? Whatever. It was fine. Going to the next one. Ta-da! Street Fighter 6! This one's a bit of a different type of trailer, but I like Street Fighter, so I put it in anyway. So, we'll see what we have with this one.
Street Fighter 6 is already entering year 4.
Okay. I'm already gonna start off with something. I do know a bit about Street Fighter 6, right? I know... How do I say that? Whatever. I know here Ingrid was their last release, right? And therefore that ties into this part. A normal person who doesn't know anything about Street Fighter would not know that Ingrid was their last release. Ingrid is her, by the way. So, we just see a person there looking at a book. Does this mean anything to the casual viewer?
That
Not
we already
really.
have new challengers on the horizon.
But you can assume that it being by Street Fighter new challengers, yeah, they're talking about more characters in the game, right? Though I do want to mention that I like how, you know, we're going through a book here.
But I can sense
It's
that
a bit of a
already have
different,
new challengers on the horizon.
It's a bit of a different way of going at it than just, who's the next character? And then it just goes to this, where it shows, wow, look, it's the character. You know, they do a little thing, and it's like, woo, everyone clap. But no, we're going in a book. So there's a little bit of pretext to it. Here's Yasmin. Alright, the next thing in the book, right? Does the book itself mean anything? No. I was kind of surprised I didn't have Bosch earlier, but besides the point. You know, we see the three people, book closes. Like, cool. You know, we see all that book stuff. Yeah, I like that there's a bit of a context to showing what all is happening with that.
Fascinating.
Fascinating. Yeah, it means nothing. What does mean something, though, is right here. His Tifa. Now, there's a bit of a additional context with this one, right? I'll just start with the obvious thing first, right? We go with the title card, right? It's like, sweet, you know, 3 characters. It seems like we finished it up. We close the book on that chapter, right? And she disappears, we get title, right? And therefore, what happens here is a fake out, right? You know, we got audience going, woo, yay! Or people who are, you know, interested in it. They're going, yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, new characters, right? And here we have for the general public. It's like, sweet, now we have Tifa. You know, what one of the most hyped characters here. And they do it as a fake out. And given that it is a fake out, that does make it cooler. Why does it make it cooler? It is both a bit of subversion of expectations and also because it makes the character seem a little more powerful than just them appearing, right? You know, we can see, oh, they're so powerful they can punch the title card out of their way. It's a bit of, what is it called? Toon Force? They are at a higher power level than whoever's putting the title card down. Right. And the other thing that makes this a good trailer, I don't know if we have it right after it. Hold on. How do you do that? No. It's a bit later, but, the trailer that happened directly after this one in Summer Games Fest was for Final Fantasy. Here's Tifa. Right? So we have that connection, right? Even if you're not fully interested, it's like, okay, well, you know, I see Tifa here. It's like, okay, that's cool. Here's the reason why it's cooler. It immediately gives it to you right after that. So that is good to note there. Let me make that a little nicer. There we go. Next one here is Silent Hill Townfall. I have not seen this trailer. I didn't see the Ace Combat one either, but we'll see what we have with this one. Oh my goodness, we're right into it. Okay. My goodness. No title card, no like Konami Presents. Okay. We just have that thing. Okay. Well, that establishes that this is going to be a creepy game, I'll tell you. Bleh. Yeah, a creepy game that is not going to be for the faint of heart. Right. Oh, this right after that. Oh. I mean, something's going on. We don't know the something that is happening yet. Right? We just saw a thing we don't know and some random occurrence with our character. Some visceral experience that we don't understand. Right? And those are connected. They're the same place. They happen back to back. It's likely the opening shot. It's like the hype opener. It's like, what? What's happened here? And now it's just like, okay, we're gonna forget that for a while. Set it aside, put it in the box in the back of your basement. We might get to that later. Might is the key word there. I'm not too sure. A lot of times they don't. Anyway. Besides that, we get into some opening shots. It just sets tone. Nothing special. Aunt Amelia. Okay. It's like, okay.
Hey!
Down.
Who's there?
Cool.
Simon. See you there?
Okay.
Who's there?
I assume this is part of the gameplay.
Simon. See you there?
Not my specific type of thing, but sure. You found a place. Okay. You found a place, you go into it, and then... Now we get... Okay, so it's one cohesive story. It's a little bit hard to figure that out, though. Though maybe that's because I'm taking too much time with that.
Where did you go, Simon?
When it all goes back to back like that, you know, in this sort of sense, you kind of don't have any choice but to expect that.
Please say
Makes
something.
it fine.
Where did you go, Simon?
Goodness, it's
Something
old.
doesn't feel right.
Goodness, I'm old. Okay, so we are telling a story here, right? You know, we have a guy who's obviously paranoid. I mean, everything's foggy, who wouldn't be? And he gets this weird device and is told to go to this place, which is... We'll go in a little bit of disrepair. Yeah, disrepair is a fine word for it. There's nobody who's been here for a while. Some stuff has been going on with it. You know, he connects to his email. And then he finds this. And so his paranoia from before, it's like, yeah, you know, my paranoia has gotten me to this area, and my paranoia has paid off. Right? Given there was somebody who, it seems, is telling him to do that. But we'll see. We'll see how that pays off for him.
Zoe? I'm sorry, Zoe?
Okay. So, starting from even here, it just kind of goes silent. There's no talking, right? And that creates a bit more of the feeling of tension, right? We're building up a tension by having a bunch of unanswered questions, right? You know, we go here, we're looking at this door. This door, I think, is a puzzle, but not for me to figure out. Now we have the puzzle. We can assume this is what comes after the door, but there is still another door. What is going on with this door? Why is it in such a weird area? Right? Now we have this guy. He's still paranoid.
Zoe? I'm sorry,
I'm sorry, with a pause. We're not answering any question. We're gonna keep layering on the tension. We're not gonna let it go. Right? You know, we're not gonna have any scares yet, at least for a good while more in this trailer. We're not gonna have scares. We're not gonna answer these questions. We're just gonna keep laying on the tension a little bit.
Zoe?
Zoe, he says. Zoe doesn't say a word. Right? Now we're thinking, what is going on with that room? What's going on with any of that whole door? He's still paranoid. Why is he so paranoid? What is going on with any of this, really? Now everything's red. Right? It creates a little bit of a difference. It's all red now. It was all white earlier. See, outside being white, now it's all red. The red will, I assume, create more of an urgency. Does it fully? Oh, let's see what it's trying to do. What are you doing here? Ooh, now we have monsters. It was hidden in the darkness, but we heard the sound, so. Yes, we were having more of an urgency. White is technically the symbol of fineness here, but we didn't know it at the time, because now it's only escalated up to the red, which is the bad. So we had the tension. We had the tension going on up in these parts. And now it said, oh, hey, you weren't supposed to be tense there. Now is when you're supposed to be tense. And it's like, oh my goodness, I wasn't supposed to be tense before. And so now the feeling of tenseness has escalated. The feeling of tenseness, the tension has escalated. Right? We were tense before, we weren't supposed to be tense. So now we have accounted for that in how tense we are. Close those bars the door, okay. You know, we see he's tense. We see kind of why he's tense, but we don't see it fully. It's not going to show us fully. Why would it do that? If it shows us it, then we know. The whole thing about this is that we don't know. If it tells us, and we know, then we're no longer tense. It's not a horror game at that point, is it? Is it now, huh? If we're like, oh yeah, this is fine. It's just, you know, this dude again. He's doing his normal this dude stuff. Well, this is a point in a horror game, right? We assumed it was sneaky or spooky stuff because we saw that at the beginning. You know, with the guy who went all blah. You know, we don't know what's going on with that dude. We don't know that dude is this dude, right? We need to know what this dude is and what this guy is reacting to. For the tension to let up. We just know something is happening. I kind of showed it before. Not too big a fan of that. part, though. I think it's more to get the, this whole... Bleh. I think it's more to get the audience's attention and rather than anything else. So... I think the trailer would have been fine if it just started with the, started with this lake setting shot. That sort of thing. I think it would have been fine if it did that. Maybe replace that with something else. The starting bit, that's all weird, with something else, but not something that potentially could give you answers. And we have, just like I was saying, we've answered the question. It's the same entity as the thing at the beginning, right? And so now we're starting to get answers. We have, how much left in the trailer? About 30 seconds. We have about 30 seconds left in the trailer. Now it's only starting to answer questions here, right? So we're going to start letting up the tension. By saying the thing. Gameplay, we need to get around this thing, right? This thing is scary.
What the hell is that?
There's more of them.
What is that? There's more of them, right? It's trying its best not to answer more questions, but we, or to give us more questions even. We're trying to keep the tension on, despite that we have just let a little tension go. And I think that's because it didn't really have much of a choice in the matter. If it wanted to continue with the escalation, right? Because it's pretty linear, right? You have a guy, you find the door, behind the door is whatever's going on here, which looks like some sort of hospital. Which, great setting, I'll tell you. Should it have done that? I think it's fine. I'm not too big a fan of that. Of it even answering a single question, but it's still trying to lay on the questions, right? I think it could have, saved the monster for even a little bit toward the end as, a stinger. Kind of like at this part at the beginning, right? This part at the beginning acts as a bit of a stinger. It could have saved that for the end. And then replaced the stinger with, or the earlier attention-grabbing moment with something else. I see something go past. Guy's like, oh, what is it? Alright, so that guy acts as the stinger. Okay. Or at least I assume he does. This bigger, fleshier version of the monster. I don't like that it seems to be about the same, really, as the other monster. Just now he doesn't have arms and he's got a tumor on his back, right? I don't see what differentiates this thing with the other thing, right? Why is that the stinger specifically?
I'm so sorry.
The truth behind the static. Okay. Yeah, it even ends with, I'm so sorry. Sorry for what? Oh, yeah. It's trying its best not to let up the tension. It is going to add on the questions. None of the questions are going to be answered. That is on purpose. It does not want to answer a single question. Why? One, it's a horror game. It's supposed to be tense. Second, if it answers a question, you're not buying it. So, therefore, it doesn't want you to buy it. Or doesn't want to answer a question, right? It wants to leave you hanging a bit. This one is a much more tense way than Ace Combat did. So, that is an interesting thing to note. Because it's not able to answer the question, it's not able to tell us as much about the game, right? We just know that there's a guy, stuff is happening to him, we don't know what stuff, but we know he's having to escape these fleshy monsters. So we know the game is about escaping fleshy monsters. That's what we got. We know there's some sort of puzzles as well. So we're not given too much information about this. Right? Especially compared to, I mean, Ace Combat from before. There was a lot that we saw there. You know, mostly explosions. There were a lot of explosions. You can get a good grasp of, you know, all the different scenarios there. Here, it's just linear. You could probably go like 20 minutes into the game, and you've seen all the stuff in this trailer. So it's not showing everything fully. Get on to the next thing here. You know, not as scary a thing. Here is the new Final Fantasy. Now, I will state or note that the Final Fantasy trailer did have a few trailers to it, but we don't have the time for like the 10 minutes that it was. So I only placed here the first revealed trailer that we will go over. Something I should note as well. I haven't played the other two in the Final Fantasy VII series. Final Fantasy VII Remake series, I should say. So that could also affect my decisioning here. Or analysis. Because, you know, I don't know what happened in them. You know, if something relates to one thing, then don't know. But yes, we'll see.
Long ago, a shadow fell upon our planet. Guided by calamity, one man sought dominion through reunion.
But I do like that it is giving us a bit of a recap for that. I don't know what's going on, so it's like, okay, let me tell you what's going on. A long time ago, this happened, right? One man sought dominion by reunion or whatever, right? Now, many people in a normal game trailer scenario, they'd go, what's going on here, right? What am I watching with this, right? But I think we get a little bit of a pass here because it is Final Fantasy. Sephiroth is such a big, well-known character. Many, many people know about this guy. You know, Sephiroth, the One-Winged Angel. Many people know about this dude. Even if you've never played a Final Fantasy game in your life, it's likely you've known something about this guy. I mean, he was in a WWE thing sometime. Like, he's popular. So, he gets a little bit of a pass in, you know, character explanation or even scene explanation because we know what this guy is. We know Sephiroth here, and we likely know Cloud, too.
By his will, a star fell. A meteor called forth to bring ruin to all.
Yeah. I would like to thank it again for giving us this exposition that I am sorely lacking. You know, it just tells us concisely, Sephiroth here is doing stuff, and that stuff is slowing down this meteor. And that is something easy enough for the viewer to go, oh, this ain't good. It even says that it's a star, and it's like, oh boy, something that powerful hitting the planet? Oh, no good, we all die.
But our planet answered, awakening mighty weapons to stand against this celestial threat. Now,
so we even see that it has a third party with it, and then it does, you know, hype shots. Remember, big equals cool. I said this back in the Ace Combat trailer. Ace Combat trailer is pretty nice. But yes, big equals cool. Therefore, add big thing, right? If we're trying to show how cool this is, you know, big thing. We have big meteorite, and then the planet itself has brought up these big old warriors to protect itself. Like, big versus big, that sounds pretty good to me.
celestial threat. Now, hope endures in those who fight.
Those who fight, and then we see, you know, our group of people there. Bino Barrett, you have a machine gun for your arm. You're cool. You know, and there's Tifa. We saw her earlier with Street Fighter. So, you know, those who fight, we see this. It's pretty easy enough to assume that this is our group. And like I said earlier, Final Fantasy is just so big, you would know these people whether or not you would know that these are the playable characters whether or not you've seen, you know, the earlier Final Fantasy remakes.
Right.
Long story short, the world's in trouble.
That was our
Has
exposition.
been for a while.
So what are we waiting for? Let's give Sephiroth the beating of a lifetime.
Yeah, so we're once again getting some establishment shots. We get the big ship. And then we get some of the characters. We're like, wow, look at all this. It's like, whoa, I'm gonna widen my eyes as I'm seeing this part of the planet over the ship. We're flying so high in the sky. So
Sephiroth the beating of a lifetime.
You know, let's give Sephiroth the beating of a lifetime. You know, it's a lot of character establishing, right? You know, let's establish all of these characters in a real quick manner. It shows you how they all jump. It's more character establishing. You know, he's all cool and whatnot. He jumps. You know, she's acrobatic and, you know, a little eccentric. That's, you know, these two are pets. They kind of get a pass on the personality because they're not a human. Then we get this guy who's so cool, he just falls straight down, right? Then we see Cloud jump. Cloud is going to be different. You can see how it, you know, he did this run up. There you go. He did the run up. That is different from the other shot. This is intentional because it is not showing how cool Cloud is when he jumps. We can see that as the shot. If it was showing, you know, Cloud's jumping, then it would show it from the front face on. We would see Cloud's face here. However, we are instead seeing the planet. What it is trying to tell us is that we are jumping to the planets. And then we'll get some more establishing shots of this planet itself, right? You know, we have wilderness, we have civilization. Immediately into combat. My goodness. Then that's quick. We have like 2 seconds of, okay, maybe 3 seconds of planet before we get to combat, which is something. Hi Nate, welcome in. You crack it? What in the world does that mean? What's that mean? Yes, we get just a few seconds of the world building before we see some combat.
You're mine.
Nothing story related here. We're just saying, just pure combat. Make this quick. You know, I assume it's putting a lot of emphasis on this dude. Have we seen this dude before in the Final Fantasy VII remake series? Because it's putting too much emphasis on them for it to not have. He might be a newcomer. And that's why it's trying to show it. But from a new person standpoint, I'm thinking this guy's one of our main characters.
Good night.
The sky's the limit.
And this guy might be too. We're just getting a lot of hype. You know, a lot of hype trailers. Look, he's boom. You know, his arm is infested with a demon of 1,000 nations or something. You know, this guy is a dragon. And he's, bam, hitting everybody with a dragon.
I could do this.
And now we have Tifa. Everyone knows Tifa.
I'll make you proud.
But yeah, it's a lot of
Just ain't
hype.
your day.
Just ain't your day. Okay.
Oh my, is that a weapon?
Now that we have finished our hype shots, we can go on to some more story cinematic shots.
Oh my, is that a weapon I see?
Is that a weapon I see? Referring to this because it's on screen. We can see the people trying to attack it. And so we can assume that's going to be one of our main antagonists of this game. These big ol' planet weapons that we saw earlier that were fighting the meteorite. I don't know why they are, though. That seems like a pretty good thing for them to do, so why are we fighting them, right?
far as I can tell, these things don't distinguish between friend and foe.
And that answers my question. All right, thanks. You know. So it's like, yes, they have, you know, they're dealing with the meteorite, but they're also dealing with us. And we kind of want us to survive. We kind of like us. So therefore, we have to attack them. That's why we saw the military attacking them, too.
Don't distinguish between friend and foe.
Save the planet by killing her protectors.
Save the planet by killing her protectors. Okay. So yes, these are the main antagonists. These big things that we have seen at the beginning as a big hype moment, because these guys were huge, right? You know, the big equals cool, therefore, we carry on. You know, it's just showing more of them. It's like, yeah, big equals cool, did you forget?
Let us put your faith to the test, Cloud.
And we can assume that whatever just flashed on the screen there, that whole let us put your faith to the test, Cloud, we can assume that relates to the reunion there. I believe that's Cloud. We can have that all
to the test, Cloud.
And then we can see the title card.
Never would have made it this far without you guys. And I won't let you down. I promise.
I see. Never would have made it this far without you guys. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so... yeah, that relates to Aerith. Yeah, he's just giving an Aerith message. It's fan service, mostly. It doesn't relate to the Prime story.
Or without you guys.
That we've seen early on in this trailer, but I do believe it is important to note. Hi, Tilly. Welcome in. Welcome in. Yes, I do believe it is important to note the whole Aerith resemblance, because a normal person probably knows about Aerith. This thing's popular. It's a very big thing, Final Fantasy VII.
And I won't let you down.
So,
I promise.
Seeing that whole Aerith resemblance there.
At last, the promise is fulfilled.
So,
the journey.
I don't think that was as good a trailer as some of the other ones there. It didn't show as much, and nor did it have as much of a storyline with it. However, I do believe it is important to note there are like 7 more minutes of trailer for this game, but I do not simply have the time, so I have selected one of the trailers. They were all shown back to back, so it's not a. I have to select what I have here. Not every person is going to see all the trailers, especially in order. So this is the one we've got, and this is the one I will base my analysis off of. I have no chats and no one to talk with. Oh, I'm sorry. And when someone makes me really sad, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, I'm here and I am analyzing, but yes, I can talk. I can talk indeed. What's the next thing? Table. Anyway, Final Fantasy trailers. Yes, with the that new Final Fantasy, there are multiple of those trailers. No, we only have time for one. We have a lot of trailers to go through. I think I am behind on my trailer analysis. I am behind on time because I'm taking too long to analyze some of these. So we'll get on to our next game with that, which is going to be Fable. Please don't be long. Please, 3 minutes. Okay. Time to analyze a 3-minute trailer. Know a bit about Fable. I've played some of the games before, but I'm going to hope that we see some of the important aspects of the game, like the morality, in this trailer. I hope we see morality in the trailer. There you go. Niro appearing on Twitch room is true. Indeed, I'm here. Ha 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 ha. Yes, yes. Binding of Isaac. Never played that one. We don't have a trailer for that though. But yes, Fable does have traditionally good stories. So let's see here what we have for this. All right, more grounding shots. I don't think I need to pause it for that.
Do I remember the moment my powers came in?
Powers?
Well, I was being crushed to death with seawater and mud and manure, whilst holding onto my sister's hand. I remember her fingers gripped so tightly in mine that her nails drew blood.
Okay, very interesting start to one of these. Having just somebody speaking, you know, just out one shot for so long is not traditionally something that you see in a trailer, right? And the way that she's presenting it there in such a bad story, a bad experience that she had is interesting, especially when she's talking about powers. What powers? I assume that'll be answered when she finishes her story, but it creates an almost sense of dread, I want to say. It's like, oh my goodness, she's talking about this horrible scenario. We don't even get to see the scenario. We just have to take her word and see the look on her face. You know, of this whole thing. It's a little scary. It's off-putting.
Until I lost her grip. But she stayed away.
Yeah. And you spent nearly a full minute on just that one girl. And her experience. They really dwelled on it. It is something that is very, very important. And so they are forcing us to dwell on it there. It wants you to really feel that. To feel that, yeah, this specific girl has lost her, I think it was a sister, something like that. But yes, it's very very interesting, very weird. Including the same routine where Dana was making me feel a bit weird. Yeah, that's normal for a lot of people there. I mean, it's not hard to swap it up. You can, you know, swap it up, go out somewhere, you know, do something in your day. And usually if I'm feeling like the monotony take hold, I'll just choose a random location, just go there. It's like, okay, worst case scenario, I got people watching, so I'll take it. Playground Games presents. They make a trailer, or they make a
Does
Fable.
stick in the memory bit, yeah.
You're still going with this girl. Given we don't know anything about this girl, right? So what is happening with this girl specifically? It's weird. Not across watching videos and buying reading manga. That helps, though I feel that, at least in my experience, something that is consumer related, such as, you know, watching videos, you know, reading the manga, you know, taking in, that's not giving back. The consumer related behavior does kind of perpetuate the cycle a little bit, at least in my unprofessional opinions. What is this girl trying to say?
Does stick in the memory bit, yeah.
Isabel. I'm Hero Wraithmarsh. That's gonna be her. We have spent a long time talking about Isabel. Okay? We've seen nothing of the game, but hey, I'll take this character, sure.
I know why you're here.
Yes. So look at the
You
trailer.
want to talk about them.
Them? Oh my goodness, people.
They're not real heroes.
You never seen a legend in the flesh?
All that power, how do they use it?
Okay, we are certainly seeing some very, interesting things. A lot of this doesn't relate back to much of anything, right? It's like
In a legend in the flesh.
You know, there's a legend. They're trying to say they're the hero. I think Isabel's trying to say she is the hero instead. These guys are not the hero. Though we still have these scenarios. Yes, we still have these scenarios that don't equivalate to what is being said. Right? I don't see what in the world's going on here. Now, I'm thinking to myself, this is a dangerous situation. We see all this red. We see all these floating things. This is a very abnormal scenario. And we see these two people here. And these feel like, well, heroes. The heroes are obviously somebody who is in a dangerous situation. Right?
Killing mindless beasts. Fighting petty villains. None of that matters.
But now we get to hear her take on this, I suppose. You know, none of that matters. You know, it's showing all these things there. All these things that are currently happening. Saying none of it matters.
None of that matters.
Look what the guild shut out.
A real hero knows how to wield power.
Real hero knows how to wield power. That... I don't like this shot here. Alright? I'll be honest. I don't like this shot. They say a real hero knows how to wield power, and that's during this shot, right? The normal person is going to see fire, right? Fire is power, right? We see this guy is going to cast a firebolt. That's a power, right? It's something abnormal to us, therefore power. You know, wield the power of flame in his hands. Though we see that also being used on what we consider a mindless monster, right? Which we already saw a bit earlier. It's like, we don't like that, right? So, are we seeing a poor use of power, or is this not power? How...
Knows how to wield power.
Knows how to wield power. Are we seeing this as one of those contradictory things from before?
Fighting petty villains. Knows how to wield power.
I assume. It's just a little out of place because we see
a real hero.
Her talk about a real hero, right? We go from the contrary stuff like this, you know, a real hero doesn't do this. Instead, a real hero does
knows how to wield
this.
Power.
So, is this a yes or a no? Yeah. I'll try my best to protect the rules. A little loud. I'm just tag crazy. Don't worry about it. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine. I wonder if it's... I don't think it's just me who's seeing that. Who's seeing that connection there.
Don't waste time on trivialities.
You're back. And dressed like a twat.
Got more important things to worry about than vegetables.
A hero knows how to live with their choices.
Knows how to live with their choices.
What the fuck was that?
Well, I was just
sent my brother into the infinite fucking abyss without even asking permission.
Uh-huh. You know, most of this relatively unconnected. That last part was just showing, hey, this is, you know, consequences of my actions. Knows how to live with their choices, so therefore we see, you know, this girl's yelling at him. It's like, okay. You know. Depends on how they're going with that. This, let me see here.
I was just...
This guy seems rather on the defensive. Even though that look on his face tells me he knows this girl isn't quite right. Do I think he should be on the defensive? No. He's got his choice. He's going to live with it, right? He doesn't need to, you know, try to make good on his choice.
Just sent my brother into the infinite fucking abyss without even asking permission.
Remorse?
What do you mean asking permission? Like, yeah, it'll be fine if you send her brother into the abyss. Like, let's just... Okay. But why is the asking permission part there? My goodness. So what how Sudoku works? You don't know? The whole, 9 numbers. Every line and column needs to have, or can't have a repeat number. Every box can't have a repeat number either. That's Sudoku. Yeah.
Asking permission.
Remorse? Remorse is for the guilty.
Remorse is for the guilty, okay.
Look, I will tell you what I told them.
Yeah. Most of this trailer just seems to be, Isabel says a thing.
Remorse is for the guilty.
Remorse for the guilty. We get example of said thing. Remorseful man. Sorry for making you have to watch that twice.
Tell you what I told them. Albion is broken.
Albion is broken.
I'm going to mend it.
I've got to mend it. It breaks more. How much of this stuff is not going to equivalate directly to what is being said at that time?
And I'm going to mend it.
Okay.
Albion doesn't need heroes.
Albion doesn't need heroes. Isabel, hero of the Wraith Marsh.
It needs a hero.
It needs a hero. So which is not you, Mrs. Hero. Okay, what? Like, is this from a third party? No, because this is the developer showing that is Isabel, hero of Wraithmarsh. If they didn't want you to think that this girl is a hero, then what? There's a lot in this trailer that doesn't seem quite connected, at least especially on the first watch. Because then, keep in mind, right? A normal person gets to see this once, all the way through, right?
And I'm going to...
They don't get to the luxury of pausing like I am doing here. So they just see it all. So if they think, this doesn't quite make sense, they don't have the luxury of going back to it. If it doesn't make sense, they'll be like, I'm not a big fan, right? To which we've seen a few things of that, unless we get something at the end that's like, yeah, Isabel is incorrect with all of this stuff. Do I think we will see that? Not quite. But that's up for the game or the trailer to prove me wrong. It says anime, Primal G. I like Jujutsu Kaisen. That one's a great one. Haven't seen the other ones though. Here's Binding of Isaac. Yeah, I have not played that one. I have not.
Albion doesn't need heroes. It needs a hero.
You're a monster.
You're a monster. And then we see the person attacking. I believe that is Isabel.
And that hero is me.
And that relates to the whole fighting scenario there. We see Isabel fighting. Like Jujutsu Kaisen? I do indeed, yes. I've seen all of the anime, I have not seen the manga.
Is me.
So we see that makes with sense of the hero of the Wraith Marsh there. So, given the footage is contradictory, directly, because we see the fighting, are we supposed to take Isabel's word for it, or are we not? Because the trailer itself has established both ways. This is a hero, therefore, hero you, therefore, hero correct, therefore, We take what she says, but what she says isn't always the truth in what we're seeing, which is also established by the trailer, so it's a catch-22. Yeah. Curious to note, isn't that? And then the title, Fable. Hi, every time. Hi, welcome in. Magic. Oh. End trailer scene. And it's just a guy who a normal person wouldn't know. Okay. So nothing's nothing's interesting. I'm gonna just read the manga that I need. Yeah. Good for you. So yeah, probably my least favorite trailer of the ones that we've seen so far. My goodness, we are so behind on time. Yeah. Probably my least favorite of them. Though I think one of these will definitely trump it later. Let's go on to the next one. Until Dawn 2. This one is a full story game. So, good luck to me. My goodness. Oh boy. Well, let's see what we have here. Until Dawn 2. I've not seen the first one, nor would a normal person watching this, so we're supposed to introduce
Akashima Island. Haunted by dark stories. Our goal, confront the evil, corrupting paradise.
Okay.
This is Dead True International.
Okay, so something easy, obviously, at first, right? We just have grounding shots, and we have, you know, this is what we're doing. It's random mission shots, so, yeah. Watching game trailers? Indeed, I am, yes. I am analyzing game trailers. So yes. Simple, easy, normal grounding shots. Okay. Nothing
international.
You know, obviously, we've established these kids are dumb, okay? I just want to note that right now. These kids are dumb. This is important for later.
Thanks. Come on, let's get a photo together.
Over! Rotated on that one.
A for effort, dude.
Yeah. A lot of just character establishing shots. I really don't have much to say on it. There's not a lot here. We're just seeing, yeah, these characters, they're kind of dumb, they're silly, they're not taking this seriously. Yeah. That's probably back to mention. Okay. You have fun. But yes, these kids, dumb, not taking it seriously. Not even.
The buff idiot.
Does no one know this guy?
This is how feelings are made.
What do you mean, does no one know this guy? What?
Who's the buff idiot?
Does no one know this guy?
Does no one know this guy? Okay. Curious. We're starting to get somewhere.
Oh, you two haven't met yet, right?
Sebastian, I'll be looking out for you. Roland, whenever you're ready.
This facility has been shut down for decades. Uninvestigated, untold, until now.
Okay. So now about halfway through the trailer, we are seeing, or we're getting our first glimpse of something going a bit odd, right? You know, this guy sees it out the back, but now we're starting to see some of the, you know, haunted. We're here for the haunted stuff. All it's done is, you know, said, these characters are dumb, and who is this dude? And they have, look, we don't need all the romance, okay? We've already established this. I know you're trying to be redundant, but you're too redundant on this. It's redundant to the point that we're not doing much, right? It's not telling us anything new.
Did you hear that?
Oh, something's out there.
Nate, are you out there?
And oh my goodness. Well, that's That's a bit more than I expected. Okay. That's something. Okay. Yeah, quite the stark change. Do I like that? Absolutely not. I will not have that grace your eyes again. But I will talk on that. Yes. So something that it was talking about, or that I was talking about with the Silent Hill Townfall trailer. Right? It kept building and building and building the tension, and it did not give a release, right? A release in a lot of those horror senses would be something like a jump scare, right? Something that answers your questions. We didn't have any tension that was really... Well, we had a little bit of tension that was built up there because we saw, you know... who this dude? Now we're gonna go into the dark secrets. What is that? And then, you know... Immediate jump scare. Right? And it's like, okay, well, I guess I don't need to be that tense anymore because here is our answer, right? You know, stuff isn't going so well. So... Yay. I'm gonna warn you right now, there's probably gonna be some other bad stuff in this trailer. So, keep that in mind. You may close your eyes. You wish to.
Right! I have a bad feeling. Let's get
You have a bad... Oh my... You have a bad feeling, sir. My goodness. What in the world is there with all the romance? Ugh. Okay. Here's reviewing all No, I wouldn't even say it's most of them. There is so many. I'm just reviewing all of the just a few select ones there. Yeah. We see the guy running, the guy that just chopped. Okay.
I have a bad feeling. Let's get rid of it.
Grip it tight.
No! He's coming! Through there!
Take a
It's
deep
very
breath.
nothing bad is going to happen. I hope.
We're gonna have to jump!
Yeah. We have multiple storylines going on at the same time, so that makes it a little harder. Scan through the rest of this here. Everything's fine, right? Yeah, it'll be fine.
Down there!
But yeah. Oh my goodness, our first glimpse of gameplay. We're gonna either push Luke or jump alone. Why don't you don't jump together? Why is that not an option? Anyway. Oh, I guess that is okay. Yeah. What should I exactly?
Can you do what needs to be done?
You do what needs to be done with these dumb idiots. Okay, everyone can live or die. Everyone can also die if you want them to. That's 2027. Okay. Yeah. So we are getting worse with these trailers. We started with some great ones here. This is the worst trailer, yeah. There was very little in that trailer, right? The only thing it told us story-wise is that we're a group of dumb kids on an island caught up in some scenario that's starting to kill us. We don't know anything about the scenario, nor was the question posed to us, and therefore it doesn't build the tension like in Townfall. So, for what point? I don't really know. There's not a lot going on with this one. So, I don't have much to say about it. And that's why I don't like it, you know? It's like, sure, it's a trailer. The trailer doesn't tell me much, though. Right? Would it tell you a good amount if you knew Until Dawn, the first one? Probably not either. Assuming that it follows the same everyone can live, everyone can die, which means you need a totally new cast because you don't know how the first part or the player finished the first game. So it's a whole bunch of stuff. Not a big fan of it. Because it didn't have much purpose for anything. Anyway, let's watch what's probably going to be the worst trailer yet. We put them in a tier list. Oh, I didn't even think about a tier list. I can, yeah. I can do that. Anyway, let's go with what's probably going to be an F tier. The Among Us TV show, which was shown off at Summer Games Fest. I have very low hopes for this one, so I hope it'll be alright. Alright, we already have, the classic tension trope, but it's done in like 5 seconds, so it really doesn't build any tension. The trope that we have with this is this dude right here. We have the shadow that's coming up, and will we see the shadow? Why was this shown? I have no idea, man. It was. With the shadow. No release on the shadow. So we see all this and then the shadow. Except it's Among Us. Among Us totally breaks the trope, right? Because the trope is that you have a silhouette of something that we don't really know, right? Usually it's not a person, because a person is just a person, right? It's usually some random creature. Here is just an Among Us dude. Look, it's an Among Us dude. No way! Someone Among Us is the killer? Do I look amused right now?
Crewmates, our fellow mates of crew, have perished. They would have preferred to be alive.
Why are you talking?
They would have preferred to be alive. That's true, but my goodness, that is such a bad line. Look, it's a TV show. I get to dig into it more. My goodness.
To be alive.
Why are you talking so weird?
Can you let me
but I just don't understand why you're saying that.
This one needs a little more volume. So, something I'd like to know here.
Why are you talking so weird?
Purple here. It's probably magic. Probably. Yes, Purple here says, why are you talking so weird? And then we get a rebuttal from...
So weird? Can you let me but I just...
Can you let me just... Then she starts talking, then we have this. It doesn't give it enough time to play out. Right? We have a whole scene playing out. It's like... Red is talking weird. Purple says, why are you doing this? And he's like, come on, just give me some time. It's like the first time this happened. I'm presumably the captain of the ship. Just give me a bit of a time. We can have a rebuttal between those two. But instead, everyone's talking at once. We can't understand a single thing that's being said. Therefore, it contributes to absolutely nothing.
The official cause of death. Acute ripping off of the face.
Okay, chat, I just want to ask you one question.
Cute ripping off of the face.
Is this funny? Are you laughing at this? Do you hear a cute ripping off of the face, and then you see this, and then, aha. Are you laughing? I'm not. The only reason I'm laughing right now is because it's dumb. The whole thing that it's supposed to make you laugh is dumb. It's reverse psychology.
One dead crewmate, that's an oopsie, but...
No, exactly.
That's an oopsie, but 2 makes me look like a bad leader.
One dead crewmate, that's an oopsie, but 2 makes me look like a bad leader. Fair enough. Figure out the issue, buddy.
Now 3 makes it a murder mystery.
3 makes it a murder mystery. Okay, now figure it out, buddy.
Any one of us could be the killer.
It's no biggie.
It's no biggie. My goodness, the guy who was just talking about a murder mystery. Okay.
Was it you?
Whoever smelt it dealt it rules. Interesting. If only there was someone...
Like that... Is this for kids? Is this a kid show? No, because we had all the intros. Who is this for? I don't think anybody goes, whoever smelt it dealt it, if they aren't in 2nd grade. Like... So what's the point of this?
Whoever smelt it dealt it rules. Interesting.
Like, is that really interesting? Running near over TikTok with the imposter with the trailer.
If only there was someone smart and capable who could take charge.
Only someone who was smart and capable who could take charge. Okay. Nothing in this trailer is building up to anything else. It's just slapstick insta payoff. Hi, Tilly, welcome back. We finish this trailer and I'll see if I can predict who in the world the imposter is.
That was a lot of screaming.
It's a lot of screaming. Okay.
Blue, orange, purple, white, brown, yellow, lime, cyan, black, and I'm red. The hot
My goodness, there is a lot of people there. It's mostly a shot in the dark, but
what's that?
it's probably guiding with the shot put ball. Exactly. It's always guiding.
Back there.
Oh, really?
This is
We have to kill the imposter.
the imposter.
So happy to have you among us.
Among Us? They said the thing. Oh my goodness.
Amongst us. I always forget.
Or is it amongst us?
You keep an eye out for the killer.
Why does he have toes? I'm sorry, this is irrelevant. Everything of this is irrelevant. It's all just, you know, thing is said, thing doesn't relate to anything, it's instant.
Unless it's you. But it could be purple. Jeez, we really gotta narrow this down. It could be purple.
I'd just like to note something. Take a look at the left side of green. There's nothing here. If you look at the very next shot, the left side of green has a vent. Curious, I say. Let me see the big shot with all these people. This is not a very good trailer, by the way. None of this relates to anything else. And especially for a TV show where you don't have the gameplay to back it up. You just have the story and the animation. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't relate. Anyway, here's all the people. Have to rule out the people who have died in the trailer, which is 4. There are 4 people who are dead in the trailer, which is a great start, right? Imagine you're seeing a trailer for Danganronpa, and it's like, yeah, by the way, Ryoma Reitaro, Tinko, and Angie all die. And it's like, okay, well, great. Don't get attached to them too early, then. Anyway, it's green, by the way. It's green. Okay. That's all I got on that trailer. Green's the imposter, though. Anyway, next trailer. Remember, when you're making a trailer for something, have everything relate to something else. It's not that hard. It's just like a minute or two, okay? You can have it relate. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so we're swapping to another thing. So here is Alien Isolation, the second one. Minute 40, alright. This is it's relatively similar to what we just saw with Among Us. Certified F tier, I know, right? This is relatively similar to what we just saw with Among Us. However, this one's a little more on the creepier side. Did you play Resident Evil Requiem? I did not, no. I'm not a big Resident Evil fan, to be honest. But if you're asking about the trailer, the new one, give it a bit of a wait, will ya? But yes, I'm not a big Resident Evil fan. Where was I? Alien Isolation, yeah. Streamer, what should I watch now? HBO cartoon shows. I have no clue what's on HBO, man. I got nothing for you. I would just say to watch more Jujutsu Kaisen. It's always good to rewatch it. Alien Isolation 2. Once again, most all trailers are going to start with a grounded shot of you. It just tells you the type of, the feeling and, well, I guess feeling tone, whatever. What you have. And it also allows them time to smack in a few words, which I guess is who produces it, right? I mean, sorry, I'm fine for a while. Now we're starting to get our first stuff, right? I assume, you know, flames. And your mistake, it was expensive? How curious. I wonder if those could be related. Spoiler alert, they certainly are. Right. Still, we have even more grounding shots, right? We're halfway through the trailer and we still have more grounding shots. We don't need more grounding shots at this point. We've already grounded it, right? I see that we have, you know, a ship or some sort of mechanical structure. We didn't have this before. Then you put it before, okay? We don't need more shots of just random wilderness. We get it. We get it already. We're in a place we don't know. It's a JJ carrot. I too am disappointed in myself. Ugh. Some mistakes, something coming in real life. Yes, okay. Now we're starting to see something. Starting to see lights. Probably watch JJK. I would recommend it. Yes. And yes, we're starting to see lights. We're starting to see stuff happening. Still, though, it doesn't mean much. Alone at the. Oh, alone. There's so many other people like that at your local therapist's office. This is your last chance. Alright, so I assume the mistake happened ahead of time, in which case what is happening in this scenario is our last chance. Make it through this so that we can, you know, get into good rep with the company. Which still makes it a grounding shot. You could have had this way ahead of time. We don't need half the trailer for this. Okay, a thing in the distance. We're going to it. For what purpose? Who knows? This is such a long shot, though. It's a little curious. We see the evac, okay. And still more water.
Do you understand?
Do you understand? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so we are starting to see something. We know something bad went down. You know, it said proceed to evac, now we're walking. Right, because I assume evac either we did it and now we're here, or it failed. Fell through. We fell through before. Emergency. We're still with the emergency stuff. We see all sorts of emergency stuff. Is this building tension? No. Unlike the Resident Evil Townfall trailer, we are not building any tension. Right? We see, oh no, bad stuff, but like, okay, bad stuff, right? It's not saying, hey, this is a scenario we need to be tense for. You know. It's not like this is the bad scenario. Because we haven't... I mean, we haven't seen anything relating to a bad scenario besides, you know, we've crashed. Like, okay, we crashed. Sounds good. I mean, it really doesn't sound good, but clearly our person has some understanding of the situation. Because, in fact, they say... I understand. Whether that's ahead of time or not doesn't really matter because we are getting that feedback now. Right? We are seeing that all follow through and therefore we are currently following through. You know, we can still see even assume the following, right? Assume you're like, what in the world's making all of this? What's going on? This is alien isolation. It should be obvious enough that we're about to get our answer anyway. You know, we're kind of building up for a jump scare in these last few seconds. Which, I mean, that's better than nothing, right? We're seeing all this because it's more of an inevitability, right? We see that, we see the slither, we see just random stuff happening when we know that something will appear. We believe it to be inevitable, and therefore we brace ourselves, and that is tension itself. Right. And here we have the followed by the title for Alien Isolation. And that itself releases from before, if we're like, what is going on with this? It doesn't tell us a lot here. It doesn't. Um, there's a few, quick shots of some things, though those don't tell us anything. It's, any of those quick types of shots are just going to be hype shots, so. There's not a lot there, because this horror trailer doesn't create much tension, right? I would say it's because it doesn't want to reveal a lot yet. Maybe it's early on in development and it's still gonna, come out in maybe 2028, right? Maybe that's what they're trying to do. But even so, they can still create some of the tension earlier on in the trailer. Start having some of these unanswered questions. Start having some weird occurrences that they instead save for later in the trailer, right before they show the thing, right? Because it'd be better if you build it up for a few minutes, or even in the minute 30 that you have, instead of the last 10 seconds, right? Because then we can have a cool situation where it's like, whoa, the release is Alien Isolation 2, right? I love that first game for somebody random that said it. Or maybe just somebody who knows the Alien franchise. And we can see that we have the release later. Because given the name, you're going to have the release of it anyway. We know that this is going to be an alien, right? So, you might as well build it up for a while and take all that you can get, because all you can get is a minute 30. So, yay! It's kind of weird. It's like I front-loaded all the good trailers. Like, my goodness. We're getting into some bad ones now. Anyway, let's go with something substantially different. Here's Fields of Mystria. This one was shown off in, I think, the Wholesome Direct? So, not in one of the major things, right? Not in one of the major showcases. And I wanted to go through some of those so that we might be able to see some of the differences. Seem very cool. Thank you. Thank you. I try to be cool, or at least knowledgeable. I try to be knowledgeable. But yes. Let's see if I'm still cool after I start digging into this trailer. Fields of Mystria. Alright. It's the 1.0 announcement trailer, and it is in a bit of a smaller direct. It might be more geared toward people who are more aware of the series, or of the game itself. Though given, once again, it is still in a big presentation instead of, a blog or even a Steam update post. They do a lot of those for 1.0s. So, anyway. We're also not going to get as many cinematic shots. This is a much lower budget production. So we are going to see some stark differences. And we already see it here, right? It still is trying to do its grounding shots, but it's doing them in gameplay instead of in cinematic. So, we can see the UI at the sides and at the top. We can see Miss Grove, right? But we're still going to see some of these groundings. Alright, player walks. You can do farming stuff. But unlike some of the bigger AAA features or titles, it's actually starting to show gameplay, right? We are already going with our escalation. We see here is a, field. You can also ride some of your animals. And you can use cool powers to help you with your farming. Right? We've already established that it is a farming game because of these. We have dialogue here. I know it is a lower budget production, and I know they don't have the funds for voice acting. However, in a trailer such as this, where all the shots go along very quickly, we're not going to be able to read the dialogue, right? So even if they have it play out like this, it's going to be hard for somebody to read it and process it. Unlike in spoken dialogue. It's a lot easier in spoken dialogue. As a human, we kind of separate the two, right? our vision and our hearing. And so with our vision, we have all of this to look at. We have this person, we have these. And we're also substantially better at hearing and understanding spoken dialogue than we are at reading text and understanding it in a quicker manner. Is there a workaround for that? Is the first question I would pose. Given that this is a, lower budget indie trailer, right? I know they're not going to pay for voice acting. But do we need to have this dialogue here? Because the very act that it has let the dialogue play out like this infers to me as the viewer that this dialogue is of some importance. Right? It could just be the character. Maybe we're looking at Stillwell, right? In which case we can see a much different character introduction thing. There's some character introduction things for Rune Factory that I remember seeing. Anyone leave for now? Feel sleepy? Thank you for joining, though. Thank you. Have a good sleep. Yes, there's some character introduction little cutscenes for Rune Factory that I remember seeing, and I like them. Here, let me see if I can pull them up real quick. Those, I don't know if they'd work, but if you already have something in the game, or you could already try to pose something like that, then that would be of benefit. There we go. I'll just swap you over real quick. There we go. So, something like this, right? It's just a little trailer. It shows the character, right? It shows them doing action. And it kind of shows their personality. Just something simple like that. And some of them, they'll introduce themselves like, I'm so-and-so. But if you have that, great. If you do not, create one. I'm not saying make it fully animated, but I am saying you have an editing software. You can figure it out. Get back to here. There we go. Okay. Let's see how long this is going. Okay. It goes long enough that I'm fine with this. I did not like that we are having this dialogue go by here, because now we're trying to read this dialogue, but we really need to be looking at the scene and taking it in. The important part of this is that there is a wedding here. We don't need to know that March is embarrassed and blushing, okay? We can already infer what and why he's doing it by the scenario that it's the wedding. So the scenario is the important part here. Therefore, if we have the dialogue go by, it's going to draw our attention to the bottom of the screen. And we see the dialogue. We want our attention up here. However, it's long enough that we're still looking up here. Though once again, I am posing. What is the importance of having these characters here and their dialogue, right? Are we looking at, I guess, a fortune teller booth? Did they add weddings to the game, right? As a viewer who doesn't know a thing about Fields of Mystria, I'm a little confused as to the ongoings. But I see that we have a wedding, but I'm wondering what the importance of this dialogue and stuff is. Alright, here's another one there. Seems to be a witch's house, though it's having... it's just, I have to pause it here, because my eyes are still being drawn to the bottom. Do I read this, or do I take in the hut? Right? Also, we see a baby. My goodness, I didn't even realize there was a baby there. We can't have our attention divided like this on that dialogue. You know, if we need the dialogue to be important, then we want a founding setup shot of the area. And that way we can have all our attention focused on this, just like it lasts 2 or 3 seconds, and then we can start adding in this dialogue. You know, have it, jump cut over to starting to talk about the dialogue in this place. Maybe you're doing an action in this place too. That can work, right? Because we want to, we can establish a new place and then new character. Ooh, I liked that. Okay. Here's something we haven't seen in any single trailer so far. Take a good listen. There we go. Music sync. We have music sync with that. The da-da-da-da-da is linked up to her attacks. That I like. Yes. I'm fine with this shot, yeah. We see the character, you know, getting attacked. We see them doing a unique thing. And I do like the audio sync. You know. And also having them do the action here has allowed me to take in the cave as well. We're in a cave. I can see all the ores and stuff. That is what I believe should have happened for the prior shots. Great music sync. Love it. Yeah. Ooh, now we have the chest. Okay. So we're escalating on what we just saw prior, right? We see this. You know, we see defeating monsters. We see defeating monsters again. However, we're adding on that you might also be able to collect the treasure chest. So a little simple escalation. More people. You already know my thoughts on the people, right? People, fine, all right? But we can't have the dialogue be going as we're seeing this new place. Am I supposed to take in the place or the dialogue? Right. In this case, it was actually the dialogue. There was a correct answer, my goodness. Because the dialogue states that you can bring archaeological finds, plants, insects, and fish, right? This is the museum. We've seen multiple types of games. It's like the Animal Crossing museum, right? You're only going to know this via the dialogue. There isn't anything up here that specifically tells you that this is the museum that you're going to bring stuff to. However, our next shot shows we're bringing stuff here. Set complete like Stardew Valley, right? So therefore, we had to read the dialogue to understand this scene. All been waiting for is finally. You got battle here, full combat. Glad to announce. Okay, so we see that. Yeah, the full release date. Good for you guys. But yes. We see here in these last two things that it has escalated to the dialogue relating to an action layer, right? The dialogue is the important part. However, we did not establish this earlier, right? Hey, Ari, no, we haven't met before, right? You know, even if this is a new character, I don't know this, right? Me, as casual viewer who hasn't played Fields of Mystria, has not seen this. I don't know a thing about this. Of course I haven't met this guy before, even if he is a new character in 1.0. But seeing that, and especially seeing this when the scenario is important instead of the dialogue, it has the potential of training me that the dialogue isn't important. You know, and seeing this, important thing is baby. Look, baby, important. And so we see dialogue is now important. Not a fan. Not a fan. But yes, that ends the trailer. Happy to announce, 1.0 release. Okay. So, It had some nice parts, it had some not nice parts. I think some of them were constraints, but some of them were also a little bit of lack of, what's the word? Lack of creativity. Ingenuity, that's the word. Ingenuity. But yes. Anyway, here's Persona 6. This one's going to be an easy one. We'll speed through this one real quick. And you'll know exactly why when you see it. Another for Persona 6. This one's by Atlas. Who, by the way, has spent quite a while on just that screen. We see gravestones here. A lot of them. There's no need for me to pause. Still a lot of gravestones. It's a little creepy. No tension, though. Because creepy doesn't mean tension. And tension is specifically what you want for a horror. Creepy can add on to tension, but the tension needs to be added here originally. Who knows what that is? I don't. We have a person with a hand. Some random shots. I don't know. And Persona 6. That's the trailer, by the way. That's it. Yeah, there's really little to this trailer. It's just graves, this, and then there's a hand, and then a lot of nothing. It's like still creepy, but it doesn't add on to anything. It quite frankly reminds me of Ghostbusters. That's what I'm thinking when I see this. It's like, I mean, look at that. Tell me that ain't Slimer. That's all I know, right? I know it says it's a teaser trailer, but I am I'm still a casual viewer in this, right? This tells me nothing. I am not being teased by this trailer because I don't know what it's trying to do to me, right? You know, maybe Persona fans are like, oh my goodness, the game exists! But I'm not one of them. The closest I've gotten to playing a Persona game is playing as Joker in Smash Brothers. So, when I see this, I see nothing. There's nothing of importance here. So, the point is minimal, quite frankly. You know, I would have shown off at least a little bit extra. You know. Maybe something there leads back. Maybe there's an importance of gravestones in the game series. I wouldn't know, though. But yes, I would have liked at least a little something. Even just showing the main character would have been fine. Because at least that tells me a little bit of something else. But all it really is just a minute up to Persona 6. So. Not a fan. Not a fan. Our next one, though, is Persona 4 Revival. Which, by the way, yes, the same series. So, this one is not a teaser trailer, it's a pre-order trailer. However, I believe the Persona 4 Revival teaser trailer did show more than that Persona 6 teaser trailer did, but that aside. Hopefully this trailer's a little better, because I do believe it shows more. I also think it's a remake, so whether that applies, I don't know. I haven't played it, so I'm not going to worry.
You ever heard of the Midnight Channel?
Oh my goodness, we already have dialogue. Trailers have to be short and concise, so I do like that we're having, you ever heard of the Midnight Channel? Right at the beginning. This is so gonna copyright me.
I've been on that Midnight Channel before she died too.
I like that line. We'll get back to it.
Midnight Channel before. Domino might have been on that midnight channel before she died too.
Person's name, I didn't really get that. Might have been on the midnight channel before she died too. That is a great line. It establishes multiple things. The first being, the midnight channel kills people, right? That is the rumor that we have. You know, especially with this shot that we have here. This killer, right? The midnight channel is killing people. Second of all, it relates a personal connection to a victim. Which I'm going to assume that's the main character. It's either this person, maybe it's this person. It's one of the main characters who has that personal connection to a victim. Therefore, that also implies that our goal is to figure something out regarding this midnight channel. And I figure we'll get to that in a bit. And I assume the weird person that we saw is going to be that person who's hiding within the midnight channel. Well, I weren't kidding about inside. To the truth with your friends. Yes. It has skipped past the whole, are we doing this? And has just assumed, yeah, we're doing this. And therefore, we're fine with the assumption. And by we're doing this, I mean we're going after the midnight channel. You know, we're finding the truth behind it. So that is what we are doing here. That is the case.
Where are we?
Whoa.
Feels like we're someplace totally different.
That sounds like a girl from Jujutsu Kaisen. Yeah, someplace totally different. This.
Watch out!
Now then, whatever's going on here, we're getting to the bottom of it.
What's going on here? We're getting to the bottom of it. Fine redundancy there. We have, it could even just be considered filler, and I think that's fine. Because we have the main focus of the shot being, our protagonist.
To wield a persona is to wield direct control of one's heart.
So we're starting to get persona.
Is strengthened through bonds.
Now, given, I don't know what in the world a persona is. It might be assuming a few too many things, but okay. The first assumption was fine. We could work through that because we just assume it via the rest of the trailer. We come to terms with it, I should say. What in the world is a persona? I don't know what that is. I guess it's a this thing. Is it a power? Our first introduction to wield a persona is to wield direct control of one's heart. So is that the persona?
Strengthened through.
We have quite a few assumptions, and it's gonna be hard to come to terms with these.
Doesn't it sound cool?
Someone had to.
So it showed them being in our party here, and
Doesn't
we're
it
talking.
sound cool?
Someone had to see that.
Cool?
I'm glad it was you.
Was that supposed to be him?
Yeah. These are not character setup shots. They are just showing that you can interact with characters. Given that we had the first shot of them in our party, we're going to assume you can interact with characters in your party. This is much more focused on the gameplay than on the story. We're having a lot of assumptions with the story here.
Good times never seem to last long, do they?
I hate you, sneaky, stupid bully.
Blushy girl in cosplay with that line. Okay. Yeah, stuff goes down. And I think the answer for why stuff goes down is that the good times that we have here.
So, shall we?
It is quite... We're having to make quite a few assumptions going from one thing to another there. It's a little overwhelming, I'll tell you. Just a bit.
Really? So neat!
Come on, don't call me that.
All shadows were originally born from humans.
Okay. Something I would like to note here. Listen.
Really? So neat!
Come on, don't call me that.
All shadows.
Boom. Once we start talking about the shadows, the music shifts. It's higher, and then it goes lower once we start talking about these shadows. That will create a tonal shift. You know, we're talking about all these good days. We're talking to our friends.
Really? So neat!
And now...
Don't call me that.
All shadows were originally born from humans.
We're talking about these shadows that are apparently originally born from humans. You know, they're talking about the worst sections. You know, things that are more abnormal.
Oh, and that means Senpai got killed by her other self.
My goodness, got killed by her other self.
Oh, get out of here! Don't look at me! Does that mean you're just gonna stuff me back in your head and pretend I'm not Ria? I can't.
Wow, okay. Yeah, quite different. Especially because we have gone from UI type gameplay, we see, to cinematic, right?
And that means Senpai got killed.
We still have the dialogue that is being said, however, we do not see the dialogue box or any of the other UI.
By her other self.
No!
But we are still getting more assumptions about how things work. You know, the shadows. We really have to assume that these shadows are these other shells. Especially with the character design. The character design does help lend through with that. You know, but you have too many assumptions, you get overwhelming, and we're also going to stop. We have a higher chance to not make the connection with these assumptions.
Does that mean you're just gonna stuff me back in your head and pretend I'm not Ria? I can't.
Yeah, so that's an antagonist, though, right? My goodness. Oh, look at the... Listen again.
Pretend I'm not Ria. I can't.
Yeah. There's actually a little editing trick there that I heard. Those 3 bum 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 notes during the transition were increased in loudness. If you listen. There you go. They were increased in loudness. That is a little editing trick that increases emphasis. Or, in this case, it's increasing the emphasis from the different types of music. Or the different parts of the music, right? We go from here, which builds up the emphasis, and now we're in the, we'll just call it the good part of the song. I don't know much about music. Climax of the song, which we're also in the climax of the trailer as we get some of these fighting scenes, right? We went from establishing, you know, Midnight Channel, you know, kind of like a little mini trailer inside the trailer, you know, personas, and then Happy Days. We're talking about the shadows now. We've established that, and now we're getting into the combat. It's linear sectioning.
All right, which means that we also got to catch whoever's tossing people in here.
I think I'd like to help too. I'm not running away from this.
As we show what's going on in some of the fights here. Series finale, you know, go with that.
I have no problem taking down shadows.
By go with that, I mean we are.
So yeah, I'll be counting on you, partner. Then let's team up and catch this jerk.
See, like an all-out attack, I believe is what that's called. As we get a nice little transition to the release date. Okay, not bad, not bad. Okay. There are a lot of assumptions there, but I do like the things that it adds into the trailer. I would prefer them adding stuff, or having some good parts and some bad parts, than just have it be mediocre. I would prefer that. Right? I'd prefer that you put in the effort and failed a little bit, because I do think that provides for a better viewing experience even. Don't play it safe with these. I mean, given you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to produce and then air this in front of millions of people, it would be such a dumb idea to play that safe. Yet so many people do. So even though this has failed a little bit in some aspects, I believe, too many assumptions there. Could have used an extra a little while there, or at least cut some of the stuff. I do like some of the stuff that it has done. So that'll be good. I'll have to remember all this for the tier list later. This one's a long trailer, aren't you? My goodness. How many more of these do I have to go through? Okay, not that many. We can deal with that. That's fine. Next one up is Stellar Blade Blood Rain. Let's take a look at this trailer. Once again, grounding shots.
지금 넥서스 섹터 방향으로 가는 외선순환 열차가 들어오고 있습니다.
That's the language that I understand.
Train bound for Nexus sector is now arriving.
Yeah. These grounding shots, I should mention, have to be a little more complex than some of the other ones that just do scenery and tone, because these also have to do a little bit of world building, right? Given the universe of Stellar Blade, it seems, because now we have robot peoples and the almost dystopian feeling.
Is now arriving. Please wait for
See?
everyone to exit before boarding.
Even it is a little long, but then again, we still have 3.5 minutes. I would still say to cut it a little short, though. Because the longer it is, the more you have to spend to air it, so... save you some money that way. I'd like to mention here... keeping... There you go. Listen. Audio makes such a big difference in a lot of these areas. We have it like it's in your headphones, but now it is dull, right? That creates a shift, and we're gonna keep with that shift here. Now that we have a non-grounding shot, we have this thing. What is that thing? Who knows? But we still have these long shots, long drawn-out shots, which do create emphasis on this and this person, who is Evie.
Evie!
I'm listening.
The Scarlet Sin. That's the beginning and end of it all. How about you try taking a hit?
You're acting a little strange today.
Oh, yeah? It's our first mission in a while. Aren't you a little excited?
They're using a lot of things I don't quite know. I assume whatever that was in the hand is some sort of power-up drug that they can take, and there's some mission that they're on. That's all I really got from that, though. You know, I say the beginning and end of it all, and I don't know what that means, so I have to put in an extra, a little bit of work to assume. The length gives me some extra time, but I still think they could have cut it a little shorter. Like, you can establish all this quicker.
Oh, yeah? It's our first mission in a while. Aren't you a little excited?
Also wondering about this person, because we did have a little bit of emphasis there. See, we're looking out on that person.
It's our first mission in a while. Aren't you a little excited?
Stop saying weird things.
Okay, take it easy.
Quiet. They're moving.
No, they're the target. Okay.
Initiating C3 sync. Ready, Angel.
Roger, Kenna. Tracking.
That is a lot of fluff there. We didn't need, you know, initiating C3, but okay, Angel. You could have just said, just initiating tracking. We could have led with that. We're 1:20 into this trailer. It is a very slow trailer.
Doors closing.
I assume this leads into gameplay here.
How's it looking out there?
I can't stand crowds. It'd be better for both of us if we got out of here quickly.
Can't stand crowds, okay? It would be better for us if we got out of here quickly. Is that a relevant line? Is that character development line, or is that we're going quick with this and something bad may happen line? We'll have to see.
In the movies, this is always where things go wrong.
Hey.
The movies is always where things go wrong. Another thing of foreshadowing.
Well, just saying. It's a cliche.
We'd also like to note, they are tracking someone. We cannot see who they're tracking. What is going on here?
Wait, the target stopped.
Hearken! The pulse rain shall cease!
I assume they don't get this done with quickly. My goodness. Okay, so that's that was a little much. Quite the stark change. We go from real slow to fast and gruesome. Right, we saw some similar trailers like that ahead of or before this one, but it's still quite interesting. Whatever that guy had is not good, which I assume is why he's our target. And now we have to fight these monsters that are like that. And that is part of our mission. Which it looks nice. I'll tell you that much. We're just getting a lot of action shots right now, though. These action shots don't seem to mean too much together, but they are linear in how they flow, right? We're fighting, but we also fall down the stairs. Here's a little jump cut. These are the same stairs. Well, no, they're not. They're not the same stairs. Never mind. Fall down the stairs while we're fighting. See? And that leads into more environment. So, it's linear, nice transition, I suppose. But it is still auto. Come on, did that sink? I think they tried to make that sync. It's not perfect sync, but I'll take it, I suppose. With the slow-mo. Now we're back to it being slow again. Music does not calm, though. Now it does. So we're still going into this. Okay. So we're not doing full onto the music like we were with the Persona trailer. Persona 4 Revival trailer. No, we're still just getting a lot of combat action shots. This is not telling us anything like the beginning was. Yeah, I'm not seeing too much besides. This guy is bad and he's really had it out for us. I mean, it looks nice. Sure. I mean, given this is a game, I think that's fine. As a rider, though, I don't care. As a casual gamer, yeah, I think that's nice. You know, I think the combat looks good, and I think it looks at least nice. But that doesn't really establish much of anything else. So we are still lacking a conclusion. And by lacking a conclusion, I don't mean in the... Well... I mean both senses. Both sense is... The sense that it's, you know, we don't have anything with the dude because, well, we're assuming that for later, when you have the game. You know, the dude's going to be some sort of final boss or something like that. Whoever, you know, that was, you know, that dude who made all those fleshy monster guys. But we also don't have a conclusion that we haven't looped back toward the beginning. We just went, you know, with these nice slow shots and then action, 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 end. We don't have anything relating to the story there. Right? So we just assume no story, yes action, right? So we don't have anything conclusive with that. Which, not preferred. Because they establish all this stuff at the beginning, but they don't use it later. I think is the main key point with that. They have all this opportunity. They have 3.5 minutes to use it later. And they don't. So, for being one of the longest trailers, I'm not sure what the point of it was. You have a lot of action here. They can establish in so much action that it is redundant. And I think that is the point of the game that they're trying to show, but still, it's a little much. A little much for that 3.5 minutes. You could have at least turned it down to 3 minutes. All right, you would have saved like maybe 50K. Anyway, here is Wolf Among Us 2, which is a Telltale series. Therefore, this should have high story points. Oh, and it's only a minute. A minute. I mean, given a trailer is a short amount of time to tell a story or even part of a story, but a minute is even shorter than that normal trailer length that we see of being a minute 30 to 2 minutes. So, you know, seeing all this plus the title card at the end, so we'll see what it has for us, though. Maybe it speedruns it, you know. You can have a lot of double meanings in that, like we saw at the beginning of the Persona 4 trailer. Double meanings can speed things along so well, and I love them.
Homicide. 6 total so far. Each case, husband and wife found.
Okay.
Shredded.
Shredded? I assume this is some sort of detective game, given that we are in the position
People
to know that.
are dying. Some monster is out there.
Mm-hmm. The monster's out there. I mean, I assume we're detective. Yeah, we are detective. Some monster is out there, which clearly we don't like. We are trying to solve this case.
Is out there. Word around the precinct is you're the guy to call.
Bigby.
Shut it.
And so they have called us. Okay, sure.
I'll have your job within the week.
Are you living under a rock? You're a raging dumpster fire of a person.
You're the reason I'm here.
She's a detective.
So that didn't do too much for us. These people shots, given it has established there is a talking pig somewhere, and the pig does not like us. I think a few people aren't the biggest fan of us.
Raging dumpster fire of a person.
You're the reason I'm here.
She's a detective.
What all of this means, though, I can't tell you. I don't see a lot of meaning in this relating to the story from ahead of time. There were a few things listed on the suspect list from before. Like there's that girl who we see over here. Like, maybe that's relevant, but you're not going to notice that on the first watch. The casual person who's going to watch this once in the showcase and then determine from that whether they're going to keep following it will not know them. So, I'm not going to look into that. If you want to look into that, that's for, 50 details you missed. Here's all the things with that.
It's a detective.
But yes. Back to some of these more action-y shots. Though it's like lower scale than the other ones. You saw the Stellar Blade ones. Those were action. This is just ring a bell. Oh no. It just tells you that stuff happens, essentially. Not that you're doing the actions, but that stuff does happen. See, you're attacking a guy. Ooh.
Ready to get to work?
Some rune thing. This hasn't told me much. For a story game thing, this hasn't told me too much. Let me look at this part again here.
Ready to get to work?
Yeah, it's the classic, go up to a point with the music. And then, ends it on a stinger.
Ready to get to work?
See? He smokes at the end. Okay. But yeah, the rune on the wall, which is blurred, even though it's in the center. You should not have blurred it, but here's the same thing.
Ready to get to work?
There's not a lot to the trailer. I would have expected more for something like that. I would have wanted more for something like that, but we did not get more for something like that. So, yes. Like I said earlier, a minute is a short amount of time. And they didn't have any sort of double meanings or anything there. It was a lot of stuff that was there to be there, but with no other meaning. And so I'm not too big a fan of that. But anyway, let's go to, another wholesome direct trailer. This one, I think, had less than 1,000 views. I literally just, picked a name out of a hat. I chose it at random, and it was Dragon Shelter. This is another minute-long trailer. And it's another smaller indie studio. So we'll see how this one does their thing. Dragon Shelter. Alright. Of course, like everything else, we have grounding shots. This one means a little more, though, because, well, we have this. And this relates to, I assume, what we're going to see next. Yep. Clear the area. We have grounded that we're in some sort of house. We see nice, vibrant woodlands, and we need to clear it. So, farming game, simple, easy. You can fish too, but wait, there's dragons. Okay, build a home with your dragons. I like how it is showing that. It's a little bit of subversion of expectations, really. I mean, like I said, you go there, it looks like we're going to fish. But dragons, wait, there's dragons in this game? Yes, there's dragons, a dragon shelter, who am I kidding? But yes. It showed how you do all the stuff normally, and then here's how the dragons help you out. So they do have a bit of subversion of expectations. Help the townsfolk with your dragons, by the way. Dragons too. There's a lot coming at us at once, and given it's a minute trailer, so that's fine. But yes, it says help the townsfolk, and then it goes back to farming. I don't see how that relates. I expect to see, when I see townsfolk, and we have a town here, I expect to see more town, right? And this is when I was thinking, there's a lot coming at us, right? Because, my goodness, did he build an entire outdoor kitchen and have his dragons start helping? Like, hold on now. What? I thought, some of them were just capable of doing their one thing. I guess they're doing multiple, but we have so many things here that it's a little overwhelming. These dragons do multiple things. They help with cooking. We can cook outside. We can cook in this game. Like, especially when we're expecting help the townsfolk. And now we have this. It's like, okay. Heal the town. For everyone, by the way. I do like that. Another different thing. Because it's not heal the town with your dragons. No, it's heal the town for everyone. We get to see the town. We get to see the town now. We finally get to see the town. 50 seconds into the trailer. Great. Now with that food we just made, we give it. So it makes sense how they're giving it in that order. Though, help the townsfolk and then nothing for a while. It's a little much. And then they had to cut it off early. I feel like there's more that they wanted to put there. But they did not have the opportunity. In which case, if you are having trouble with that, then you want to put less in your trailer. I think that's obvious enough. But it's like, I want to show off this. Everybody, goes through that phase. And they're like, my game has this, and I like this feature and this feature, and I just need to show it all off because that makes sense. No. Save that for your longer trailers, like off the Steam store page. You only have a minute here. That is your entire allocated slot. 1 single minute. You have a minute to show what your game has to offer and to convince your person, or to convince the viewer to go do it. But dragons. I know dragons, right? But the fact that there is dragons does overcomplicate it for some people. We have, this whole thing, right? Especially considering the beginning, right? You can kind of see the way that this trailer was made. Given that I won't say I have to make things of similar sort, but I understand how it's made. As we see here, it's slow. Then we get the pan upwards, we hold, right? Then we go linearly, right? into that. And then we go with the dragons. We have this. You know, we keep on going with the dragons. And then about here, the person realized, oh my goodness, I haven't talked about the town or anything of this. I haven't talked about the objectives yet. And we're already over halfway through the trailer. And so at this point, he's trying to rush. He doesn't format this all ahead of time or think of it. He's rushing. All right? Because this scene right here could have easily been put over here on this section. You know, or even these cooking, right? We didn't need all of these grounding shots or establishing shots that you can, you know, do these things with your dragons. When we have these later that need a bit more time to fester. And so, you know, 45 seconds in, only a quarter left of your trailer, and you still need to put in a title card, right? Then you're lacking. You have 2 shots left, and we're showing, like, none of the town, right? You wanted to show the town since the halfway mark, and you only got, like, how many seconds is that? 7 seconds. You got 7 seconds of the town in. You wanted too much in this trailer. You should have realized ahead of time, this is what I need at this type of time. Right? And it's not that hard to just, you know, make a little list of it, right? You can go here. You know, at, you know, 03 or 00 through 04. I'll give a little extra time. You know, you can do, like a zoom of the farm, and then we'll go or forward to, we'll go 06. We don't need a lot of time for this, and you can always adjust it later, right? Once you actually have the shots, it's better to get more material than you need. But you know, you can do that for farm making, right? You know, when you're actually hoeing into the ground, and you can keep on expanding with that. Just have something like that so that you can make sure that you get all that you want in the trailer, that you have time for that. You know, and if you collect your material that you need and it doesn't seem to fulfill this, then you redo this. This has already served half its purpose of telling you what material you need to get, because this has told you what you want in it. So, this has told you what you want in the trailer. So, anyway, next thing we have is Crossfire. So, let's see what we have for this one.
People are endlessly disappointing.
Okay, so usually we have, you know, grounding trailer or grounding shots of the environment and things. But here we have a grounding shot of a dead dude. This is a little bit different. It almost like we're trying to speed forward, right? You know, we're having the grounding shots of the environment, and also we're establishing people die here in these gruesome ways, right? So it kind of turns 2 shots into 1. If we have redundancy, then why do we have this guy? So I'm curious about what happens next.
People are endlessly disappointing.
We also have people are endlessly disappointing. I assume that relates to this guy, and that scares me. Yep. Perfect. Okay. So like I said, this turns 2 shots into 1. We have the environment, and we also have people dying. We know this type of game. We hear people are endlessly disappointing. And then with this guy, it tells us about all we need to know about this type of world and mission. And so, it knows that. It's like, hey, they know people die. They know this is kind of, you know, dark and stuff, and we know the type of environment we're in. Therefore, let's get into this mission already. We can't waste any time. Even though they have, you know, 2.5 minutes for this. I like that they're valuing their time.
Greedy.
we're continuing on with what we heard earlier. And we just have what I assume is B-roll, right?
They're cruel.
As we heard, they're greedy, they're cruel.
Greedy.
They're greedy, I assume that's what the whole thing... It's relevant to B-roll, but it doesn't tell you more info. It just establishes that what is being said is indeed truth. Here is the reason, you know? We gotta have some B-roll in between those things. For what this establishes, we are not sure.
They're cruel.
They're cruel, dead dude, right? Okay, so we just had a connection point, right? This and this scene and this one, in between what was being said, are related.
They lie.
What that means, I don't know.
They're bullies.
Yeah. We're just waiting for this person to finish talking so that we can figure out what those in-between shots mean. Yeah, they're bullies, and then this happens.
Hey, Stokes? Yeah, I'll go.
The music tells me we're about to... the girl's done talking. Because the music is done.
They're bullies.
Hey, Stokes? Yeah, I'll go one of them.
So that's what I say when I look at someone like you. Bully.
No, she's still talking. Okay, so we're going...
That's why we're different.
We're done with the B-roll. Okay.
I genuinely like most people.
Oh, well then you're truly a sick fuck.
Okay, we do have character establishing now. We go from narrative, as we have the B-roll in the background to just show, you know, what's going on, to now we're establishing these characters. And it's a fine way. It's a way that's been done 1,000 times before, but sure. Say 1,000 times before. I don't know if that's entirely true. But... And now we have That's No Moon. This is Crossfire, so that must be studio name. As we get into what I'll consider Act 2 of the trailer, right? Perhaps this first part is like... Perhaps all of that is sort of establishing shots, right? Because it hasn't added any meaning to anything yet. Which I'm not too big a fan of, considering we already had that first double meaning establishing shot, and then we... everything else would have been redundant up to that point.
Need to move. I'll be coming for you.
Coming for us.
Yeah, because now we have these characters bantering like we just had here. So over this would have just still been more establishing shots.
You're not one of them anymore.
Okay. You're gruesome. Playing into what was said earlier, maybe?
Just like you and me.
But now we're getting to gameplay, actual mission. Maybe we'll see a little more of what's happening here.
You guys don't understand the real threat. Not like we do.
Can you elaborate on that point? By what's really happening here, I mean more so of what the point of it is, right? We know we're on a mission. We know we're killing people. Why are we killing people, right? What is the story of this game, right? And a lot of them established it at the, very first time. Ace Combat 8 or whatever it was called was like, the first few seconds like, yeah, you got to take down this land tank. And it's like, okay, sounds good to me. We're taking down the land tank now. Here it's like, we're on a mission. Mission for what? I can see you're on a mission. You don't need to tell me that. I need you to tell me what we're doing on this mission, right? I can see we're killing people on this mission. I see there's a threat. You're telling me. What's going on?
You guys don't understand the real threat.
Could this be leaving unanswered questions for later in the trailer? Maybe. Is there a point for that? Maybe. To keep people watching, I guess. But the threat itself that they are saying, it's a big threat, is enough reason to, get the game. So they should have a reveal somewhere in the rest of the trailer to tell us what in the world this threat is. What is the point of our mission?
Not like we do.
It's still a big threat, and yet they can go invisible because they went invisible earlier. like that connection. We have been... Yeah, that like cross-cut with the audio. I like that. As we show it that, the signal. And also...
Not like we do.
Build up with the music. Once the shot is fired, it breaks. Now we're on Act 3 of this trailer. As we get some more cinematic firing.
If I go to work with my enemy to survive.
We have the threat. What in the world is going on with these things?
So be it.
So be it. Yeah. Huh?
Go to work with my enemy to survive. So be it.
Okay.
For now.
Either we fight those things together, or die alone.
So we're on a mission for those things, and we ought to band together. What is those things? Is that the weird... So what the world is happening in this trailer?
Die alone.
I have the boat. No. Do not touch him.
More action shots. It's just stuff goes down.
Or die alone.
Get together or die alone. Okay. Crossfire. Okay. I would have liked to see a little more of what we're going against. Right? Because it established, you know, unanswered questions like what in the world's going on here? You know, here, all these things. You know, all this stuff at the end. Like, what's going on? You know, they're having to fight each other. Why are we fighting each other? You know, even though we're having to survive together. But the only thing we have relating to those things is like this.
So
like, what? Or at least that's assumed, because that's the only other thing we don't really know what that entity is. What is that entity?
So be it. For now.
Like this? You know, we're killing that guy for that? So, what is that? And the lack of me knowing what that is, kind of tells me I don't know what's going on. I'm fine with unanswered questions. I like unanswered questions in trailers because then you have to buy the game for that. But to just not understand prevents you from wanting to. If you do not understand what's going on, then you're not gonna, you know, buy something to further not understand. So, that's Crossfire. Then we have as Resident Evil Veronica. I believe that's our last one. And then I'll tier list them all real quick. Resident Evil Veronica. This one's a 4-minute trailer. My goodness. They spent money on this thing. It better be good. It better be a good trailer. It is, I think, one of the most hyped trailers of this entire showcase. So, yes. I don't think you need me to tell you. These are grounding shots. Yep. We're in a house. Or we're brought to a house via something. It's a nice area. Ta-da. Interesting that we haven't cut yet, too. And we're playing in first person. Actually, it's fine. Who cares?
Oui? Yes? So, you're the American who called earlier.
Yeah, we are not having cuts past those 2 establishing shots. Which is curious. Why are we doing that? Mm-hmm.
The sister of the man on the 3rd floor. Ah, welcome to Paris. It's so nice to meet you.
In Paris, girl.
It's freezing. Come in. Come in. We don't want you to catch a cold.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say it, but
okay.
Your brother is, well, quite odd. In week
We are establishing stuff, but it is really slow. Now, I will say, I believe... I have seen this trailer before. I believe that is due to them drawing out who the character is. They're just drawing it out. They are purposefully spending the extra time to draw it out. Right? When you're drawing it out, it's like, oh, what is going on here? It is a little more suspenseful, and it can create a bit more of a hype moment. Which I believe has worked out in its favor, given that it is one of the most popular trailers of this event.
Go.
It's a bit of a mess. Why it is, I couldn't say.
Oh la la. Mais quelle pagaille. He's made such a mess again.
Again?
I just cleaned it up a week ago.
Why are you cleaning it up,
It's
miss?
like a boulder rolled through here. Huh? Ah, the delightful biscuit. I'm sure he won't notice if we help ourselves. Oh.
We're halfway through the trailer. Very little has happened. They are just drawing it out. This is, I mean, it feels like mostly filler unless something happens relating to, you know, this girl or this scenario. By this scenario, I suppose this region.
I'm so sorry. It must be the maintenance man from this morning. Won't be long. I'll bring some nice coffee to go with the biscuit.
Like, how long did they spend just having her walk out? Like 4 to 5 seconds. You know, when I was establishing that dragon shelter thing, I didn't have anything go past 4 seconds. We had a whole thing established there in 4 seconds time. And this girl has taken 4 seconds to walk out, which does basically nothing for us. We could have just had her go off screen and the character look to the side, takes not 1 or 2 seconds. You know, just speed up the whole thing. They are so drawing it out. There's still no audio anyway. Or either. Oh. Listen, though. There was ambience, but as soon as the knocks happened, it's gone. Yeah. Emphasis suspense, mostly. For that purpose. Especially with the slow walk to the door. Still no ambient noises. We're back to ambience. Though we also have a bit of a suspenseful music. So we are starting to build suspense and tension through this. And we have Zori's. Very quick build, very quick release. It seriously is just 3 minutes of just drawing it out before they get to the minute trailer. That's honestly what they're doing. I see no other point for having this. And they do, you know, explain what they're drawing out there, but you know, now we're back to the establishing shots. It's literally a 1 minute trailer inside of the trailer. Establishing. Remember, it's a different area. There's not really any reason for these to be establishing shots. For what purpose they hold. There's little purpose in many of these shots. We can see a dead guy there. I do believe this is a remake, so perhaps it makes sense. Some of they are now getting a little more useful, right? The helicopter's going to an island. The more guns. The first one on the hood. They have purpose. There's purpose relating to those shots there. Like, somebody is going to the island on the helicopter. But we don't know why, and so we can't make any connection with that.
Don't move. Claire Redfield.
Claire Redfield. That one line there in this face shot is the reason they were so drawn out with this. And that given that it's been a minute or 3.5 minutes, that is the reasoning they were so drawn out with this. It's a little bit like the Cloud Sephiroth sort of thing. I don't think she's as recognizable a character to the general public, but she still is a bit recognizable. At least the name Claire Redfield. Let me just get Veronica. So there is still very little in that trailer. Oh my goodness, the first actual semblance of something happening. Look at all these shots connecting to each other. Blood. Trail. Little jump scare for you there at the end. Yeah, of course there's zombies in the zombie game. It does establish, though, that she doesn't seem to be very knowledgeable about what's going on in any of those scenarios, so. Other than that, though, it's a little bit disappointing. So, the old lady be fine. Ooh, boy. I think the old lady will be okay. Yeah, I think she'll be fine. Yeah. I do want the Nintendo one. Maybe they'll have a showcase soon, but anyway. Let me do a quick, where is it? Here we go. We'll do a quick tier list that I'll just make here. Insert table, do how many? S, A, B, C, D. We'll just do it like that. We'll make all of these. I'll just say, why does it make the border? I don't care about the border. Where's the info? You are blue. Okay. Black. And then all these can be kind of off. These can be black with an infill of off-white. There we go. And so we'll have, yeah, make it centered. Okay, we'll have S, A, B, C, F. Alright, I don't want D because it's hard to deal with. We can add more space if we need it. But we'll go through each of our trailers there. Ace Combat 8. I think I said some of the best stuff about this one, and I put it first, for goodness sakes. Like, great introduction, I will say. I'll make a comparative list because I don't want to figure out whether it belongs in S or A or anything. So I'll do Ace Combat. Just as our first S tier. Because that compares to all these other ones here. Street Fighter 6 being our next one, right? There's very little to that trailer. Especially compared to Ace Combat. Where it's all like, you know, here's all the mission, here's all the setup there, and here's the big thing, and then we're gonna go into a lot of other random stuff. So there's very little to this one, but I do like what it has with it. So I'll put it S. Or A. Yeah, Street Fighter. There we go. It's mostly just the Tifa thing, but they played it. They played their cards well. Other than that, Silent Hill Townfall, which again, I had a lot good to say about that. I liked its suspense. There were a few things I didn't like about it, like the original attention grabber at the beginning, and its It had a bit of a release at the end. But I did like doing some column rights. There we go. I did like some of the stuff that it had. Very, very good on that tension release. Final Fantasy VII. What all happened in this trailer? You know, given there weren't, there is like 7 minutes more of this trailer, but we don't get to see that here. There's a lot of establishing shots there. I don't care, Fable.
I'll make you.
Yeah. I mean, it's not too good, but it's okay, I guess. We'll put that one in B. Final Fantasy. Alright. Next one is Fable. I was not too big a fan of that one. There's 3 minutes there, drawing it out. I'm not too sure what it wants me to think with this one. I'm not. There were things that seem to contradict each other. What is going on with this girl? And it's not like a good unanswered question. It's more just, I don't know what I'm looking at with this. Right. I don't want to put it in F tier though, so I know I said I wasn't gonna do a D tier, but I'm doing a D tier now. So yeah, I'll put that one there. Until Dawn 2. Oh yeah, this one told me so little. And I know this is a story game. It told you so little, no tension, the kids were dumb, that there's not much going on. It didn't... I know there's a villain, and that's about it. And they're, you know, having to make life decisions for that. But it's not convincing me to buy the game. Right? F tier. It's an F tier trailer. Disappointing, quite honestly. You know, the writer doesn't like the story game. How sad. Do I even need to say anything about this one? There's very little going on with this.
Kill the imposter.
Also, it's definitely green. There's just very little going along with that trailer. And so there's very little I can say with it. Because secretly S tier? No. No. Maybe, you know, if I put it, I can put it below. Maybe we wrap around with that. But no. There's very little going on with that trailer. The lines of dialogue aren't that good anyway. Yes. Alien Isolation 2. This trailer had potential, man, but I'm just... I'm disappointed by it. It was just a minute of establishing shots. No tension building. In fact, it was basically anti-tension building because the character just did stuff. They did stuff fine. It's like, yeah, I understand what's going on. Everything's fine. I mean, obviously, you had to, you know, relieve the tension at the end, but you had a minute 30. My goodness. That one gets D. Alien Isolation. Perfect. We have nothing in C tier yet. Fields of Mystery. This one, yes, a minute trailer. This one handled its minute much better than Dragon Shelter. Yes, this one, I like some of the stuff. The dialogue, I wasn't too big a fan of. But man, the music singing. Man, I love that. Then other things with that. It doesn't tell me too much about the game, but I think it's established fine. I think it gets C tier. I think a C tier for it is fine. You know, I just like to note, even though I'm saying some bad stuff about it, I still put it better than 4 big budget titles so far. Like, you know, even if I go down and put Dragon Shelter and some of these bad tiers, Even if it's in D tier, it'd still be better than those. And I think that is plausible. Anyway, Persona 6 doesn't tell me a single thing. It gets F tier. Like, my goodness. At least show me something. Let me get hype for this thing. I am a willing customer. Let me get hype. Ugh. Instead, my feelings are 6 feet under in the grave. Though on the very contrary, Persona 4 Royale. I was saying with this that even though it failed with some things, I liked that it did some things really nice, and that it was better to try than to, you know, try and fail than to not try at all. It's a great quote, by the way. And it did succeed on some of the stuff. And continuing with some of these other trailers, and seeing Ace Combat 8 and Silent Hill Townfall, relatively to all these other ones, Persona 4 Revival gets a S tier. That was a good trailer. Great trailer, in fact, in comparison to Ace Combat 8 or Silent Hill Townfall. Definitely comparable to those. So I like that. I like that. Let's see. Stellar Blade Blood Rain. Oh, yeah. I was a little disappointed here. It was slow. It did a minute 30 to establish stuff. And then just did it. The rest of the trailer not doing anything with it. As it just showed action. So I was disappointed with that. It didn't show too much. Fields of Mystria. I'll put it here. It is still a fine trailer, given that it's for a game. You know, if I'm just judging it purely by the story stuff, then I'm rating it C or even D tier. Because it doesn't have any sort of follow-through. But its primary focus was the action, even though it kind of failed at showing the action. I think it failed about on par with, you know, Final Fantasy. Maybe I should put it down one more. I'm a little disappointed. I'll put it down. There we go. I think that's fair. Wolf Among Us 2. Oh, my goodness. This one is another story game, though it didn't really tell us anything in its minute runtime. And just that, you know, there's a detective and there's stuff happening. There is action. They don't know what any of this action is for. I just know there's murders and something happens with it. There's not really... It doesn't pose a question to be answered. I mean, sure, it's like, who done it? But it doesn't specifically pose it to us, right? It just tells us. It tells us, hey, there are murders going on. We're a detective. It doesn't say, we need to solve this. You know, how is any of this working? Right? The most question-relevant thing is this rune. It's like, does that tell us anything, though? It's not direct to this murder thing. Ugh. Whatever. I like it more than Until Dawn, though. Do I, though? I mean, relatively. Like, if I put Persona 6 there, sure, that's fine. Just not a big fan, you know? Dragon Shelter! Yeah. I mean, it failed at its time management. Need for dragons popping up to us. I am unbiased against dragons. Humph. But no. It gets D for dragon. You know, and even though D seems harsh, here's 3 big budget, you know, things that it's above in terms of trailer. Like, be proud of yourself for that one, Dragon Shelter. You had a minute. These guys had longer. Be proud. But yes, that's what I have on that. It'd be cool if the guy who made some of these is like, yeah, thanks for your advice there on this. You know. It's like, yeah, you don't need to show everything. Leave all that for your, you know, Steam trailer. If you want to show extra. Just show enough to make it a contained thing. Crossfire. What did I think about Crossfire? That one was weird. It's like, okay, but like also not. It's because there's some things that it's like, yeah, that would make sense, and another thing is like, what are you doing? And they're like kind of the same thing almost. I don't know, give it a C. C for Crossfire. It doesn't leave me wanting to buy the game. And I think that's the main thing you want in a trailer. It doesn't leave me wanting to buy the game. Speaking of it doesn't leave me wanting to buy the game, we have Resident Evil Veronica. I'll be honest, even if the trailer was good, I already have the original. Have I played it? Absolutely not, but I have it. So, it doesn't really tell me much of anything besides it is a thing. I'm glad. Put it in D tier. I need to add a row to the side. Add a column right. Yeah, sure, it can go there. Resident Evil Veronica. Ta-da. Yeah. Here is my final tier list. We have Ace Combat 8, Silent Hill Townfall, and Persona 4 Revival. Up in S, Street Fighter in A, Final Fantasy in B, Fields of Mystria, Stellar Blade, Blood Rain, Crossfire in C, Fable, Alien Isolation, Wolf Among Us 2, Resident Evil Veronica, and Dragon Shelter in D, and in F, Until Dawn, Among Us, and Persona 6. I will say that in terms of prolonged interest, anything B and higher is fine. B and higher is, for me, having prolonged interest. It's like, maybe I will check these out later. It does not mean I will buy them. It means I will, you know, do a little more research on these. Just think, maybe this would be an interesting pick. Right? Because that's really what you need your trailer to do. A lot of these, you know, here's your pre-order. This one's coming out in like 2028, maybe. I don't know. This one's, you know, these aren't like out now announcement trailer. They can't persuade you to buy the game at this current time because there is no game to buy at this current time. So they really need you to just have prolonged interest in it. And all these sorts of things. And I think B and up have succeeded. Of course, S is better than B. You know, S on the tier of, maybe I should buy this. And B is like, I'm going to take a look at that later. Right? But yes, I do believe that is a fine ranking. Let's see. Make a trailer for the channel and show us how it's... No. Oh, boy. Yeah. If I were to make a trailer for the channel, the first thing I would do is this. Right? I would want to make it short. You know, I'd give myself a time limit. I'd say, you know, I want my trailer, you know, minute to minute 30, right? And I will estimate how much time everything's going to take, and I will gather the footage. If it takes longer than that, dragons to the... No. I'm not going to add dragons to the channel either. Yes, I would estimate how long each of these takes. I would gather the footage for it, and then I will get exact information on how long each of these take. And then from there, I can reformat this. It's a little bit iterative. If it works fine the first time, great. Perfect. I will gladly take that. If it doesn't, then it doesn't, right? But usually you can get a pretty solid grasp of how long these are going to take. Right? You're almost just storyboarding it in a written sense, and it shouldn't take that long. You know, especially if you already know what you're doing the thing on, right? I assume the developers of the game made the trailer as well, right? Dragon Shelter, they made the trailer. In which case, they should already know what they want in that. If they outsourced it, well, let me tell you a little bit of a secret. If you outsource it, the people you outsource it to are they're gonna know what you want from the trailer. And therefore, you're still gonna need to make something like this. Because this will tell you what you want from the trailer. Whoa. Yeah. So, that is how I will do it. You know, you can even do 06, 09. It can be like a little splash with text that they were showing. How long did they do those splashes for? Starts at 117.5. They gave it 4 seconds. We can give it 4 seconds too, that's fine. But, you know, just allocating it. If something feels wrong, you can change it. You know. If farm making takes longer, sure. You know, have it 7, then we go 7. We can give this one 4 seconds too. Sure, it gives us a little less time. And additionally, you can always put in a double meaning, right? You can put in a double meaning to this, right? I can go from 11 to... we'll just say 15 for time's sake, right? Assume I want to go with this like building section at the end, right? And I see, oh, my dragon is helping there. Let me, you know, show that we can build and that we can do dragons, right? You know, and the dragons help with that. You know, so we can do building with dragons, right? Because that'll establish you can build in this game. You can help townsfolk with their tasks or building. And you can all do that with dragons. Right? And that has saved you an extra 4 seconds. You know, if I pull up a calculator here, because I'm bad at math, you know, 4 divided by 60. That has saved you about 7% of your trailer space. All right. And that 7% you can allocate to something else, right? If you do even like 3, 3 different double meaning scenes, you have saved 20% of your space. 20%. That is substantial. Like, you know, it's like having, instead of 60 seconds, you have 80 seconds at that point. And that is so big. That is such a substantial increase. So yes, double meanings. Format everything with the proper spacing. Make sure you have some double meanings to save space. And you can easily transition this. You know, 15 to 18 there. You can have some thanks from a townsfolk, right? Thanks from Townie. We'll just do Townie. You know, because you can have this lead, right? You can have help from the dragon there. You know, you might want to show that you're doing the dragon ahead of time, so just account for that. But that, I think, has already saved up space. So yay. Yeah, that's about all I got on these trailers. I think overall, it was pretty good. I like these events. Not much for me specifically. We'll get a Dragon Shelter stream. No, we will not get a Dragon Shelter stream. Yes, I do want Nintendo though. They should have a presentation soon enough, but oh well. That's my more interesting stuff, but if you're interested in streams though, expect it in any of these series. That might be a hint. Anyway. Yeah, that's all for me. Well, we're doing fine on time too. Yes. I do thank you for watching this stream. We'll get back to Danganronpa soon enough. Probably next stream. I just wanted to put a little bit of extra literary analysis onto something that we have relevant at this current time, which is the Summer Games Fest events. Yay! So I'm happy to have those. But yes, I do thank you for watching, and I do hope to see you again soon enough. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye-bye-bye.